Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Sign in a new species every day. Chapter 21. Lu Xuanji did not answer, but spread his hands. Boy, have you heard of dreams? Entering a good company, holding a salary that is enough to support his family, and setting up a home, used to be Lu Xuanji's dream. But now, it's nothing but old-fashioned past events. You didn't have any hatred with the Chen family. The one who had hatred with you was Zhou Fugi. He is dead. Why continue to have trouble with the Chen family? Chen Tianshou also spread his hands and persuaded. All the time, you have been having trouble with me, right? I understand what you mean. Now I want to reconcile, because your losses have exceeded expectations. Lu Xuanji leaned on the seat and smiled, thinking that he could see through the minds of these rich and powerful people. At this time, a small accident happened. A woman who was arguing with her boyfriend was pushed hard, her feet slipped and fell towards Chen Tianshou. Chen Tianshou's sixth-order awakened person's sensitivity is so sensitive. Before the woman fell down, she swept her stern eyes and patted the woman with a palm. A faint blue flame burst out and turned into little blue sparks to fall. The woman who was still standing here just now did not even leave a shadow. A trace of disgust flashed in Chen Tianshou's eyes and glared at the man who was arguing with the woman. The man took a few steps back and stumbled out. Awakened. What a powerful awakener. Maybe there is a tier 3, right? What happened to the awakened? The awakened can kill casually. Don't hold me. No one is pulling you. Go, you go. There was a whispering voice around, and the guests who had been sitting at the tables around all got up and left. Lu Xuanjia stood up subconsciously, with a hint of shock in his eyes, resting his hands on the table, looking down at Chen Tianshou. Chen Tianshou glanced at him calmly, as if slapped a fly to death. The pleasure of the bottom world, why do you care so much? The young face was full of disdain, and asked Lu Xuanjia with a hint of playfulness. You have to say it early, maybe I will spare her life. Lu Xuanjia sat down in silence for 3 years, enough to make a lot of changes in this world. And he obviously hasn't really realized the world of the awakened. A tier 3 awakener is enough to dominate the city, let alone a tier 6 awakener. It is offensive for ordinary people to put a look in their eyes where they shouldn't. 50 million, monthly salary, how about joining the Chen family? Chen Tianshou asked Lu Xuanjia directly. Do you also know the energy point that just broke out? In less than 3 months, the Chen family's power will definitely have to go to another level. Next year when the Academia Sinica selects new students in various cities, you will go with me. 2 places, the Chen family can still get it. Chen Tianshou continued. The Academia Sinica, formerly known as the Central Research Institute, was the best scientific research institution in Longguo before the New Day, and the admission criteria was doctoral graduation. After the New Day, the research on supernatural power technology has been changed. Among them, the cultivation department can be said to be the only place that has the ability to systematically learn cultivation ability in the entire Dragon Kingdom supernatural power. Of course, the strength is also the first in the country. 95% of the first batch of 9th level abilities came from the cultivation department of the Academia Sinica. Except for a few self-supporting doors, most of them still stay in the Academia Sinica. When Lu Xuanji heard Chen Tianshou talk about the Academia Sinica, his heart throbbed. Now, to really ask him what his dreams are, I am afraid it is to look at the sky of the most powerful. I want to look outside the solar system. Apart from that, he couldn't find anything worth working on. As for why you want to go outside the solar system, of course, Grandpa said that you must not go outside the solar system. Well, people have a rebellious mentality, especially Lu Xuanji really doesn't have this ability, which is more exciting. Lu Xuanjia glanced at Chen Tianshou and couldn't help but smile. Is the Chen family so easy to talk? The direct losses that I have caused to the Chen family are no less than tens of billions. Not to mention the awakened ones who died, and the blow to the Chen family's reputation, it can be said that the Chen family is troubled. Bone. The monthly salary of 50 million yuan, the quota of the Academia Sinica, the Chen family is really magnificent. Lu Xuanji smiled and said. It's a pity, Lu Mo is afraid of losing his life. Lu Xuanjia got up and turned to leave. Why bother? Chen Tianshou squinted her eyes and cremated the dragon, and attacked Lu Xuanjia's back. Lu Xuanjia did not agree, and today's battle will be inevitable. Chen Tianshou is not only a Tier 6 ability person, but also a dual ability person. Compared with the father who said to stabilize Lu Xuanji, in fact, he personally is more inclined to solve Lu Xuanji directly. Boom! With a muffled sound, an invisible force collided with Chen Tianshou's fire dragon. The fire dragon dissipated, but a gust of wind still hit Lu Xuanjia, and the blue flame after the fire dragon dissipated fell on Lu Xuanjia's body and burned instantly. Bang! The blue wings spread out behind Lu Xuanjia and flew into the sky. Hard hiding. Chen Tianshou had just turned into a fire wing and chased it out, only to find that the figure of Lu Xuanji in the sky had disappeared. Instead, several blue-winged birds rushed towards him at the same time. Chen Tianshou waved his hand, the blue flame turned into a sea of fire, and several Tier 3 blue-winged birds were instantly burned to ashes. But at this time, when he fell back to the ground, he had already lost Lu Xuanji's trace. Chen Tianshou's face turned blue and white, and even let him escape. Chen Tianshou, regretting letting a Tier 5 awakened escape from his own hands, did not notice, and a thin figure stumbled towards him. Boom! With a muffled sound, a well-knotted fist landed on Chen Tianshou's forehead. Chen Tianshou, this magnificent Tier 6 awakener, almost directly exploded, no more. In a huge pothole on the ground, Chen Tianshou's human-shaped plasma lay quietly there. A ghost-like girl in a white skirt stood up, turned and walked outside the city. After 3 years of imprisonment, she could no longer remember her own name, and forgot how to speak. But the moment she walked out of the cage, she suddenly understood that she was an awakened person with powerful power. She is an awakened person who has been awakened at the beginning of the new day. Although it is just an ordinary Julie ability, it seems to be different from other people's Julie. Her power can break all laws and any abilities, as long as it does not have the strength of the same rank as her, it can be broken with just one punch. The 6th tier Chen Tianshou possesses the elemental ghost fire and the alien forming ability to transform into a white wolf. However, in front of this woman, it was just a pleasure that could be solved with one punch. Lu Xuanjun broke away from the heart of a frightened passerby, staring at the thin figure that was transported in astonishment. I'm going. It's that woman, a Tier 6 capable person, who punched a ko. What a pervert is this? Lu Xuanji glanced at Chen Tianshou in the big pit, his expression was complicated, and he left after a while. If you look at it more, you won't be able to eat for 3 days. At night, Lu Xuanji waited for something with a serious face, and soon a voice rang. Ding! Do you sign in today? Sign in. Lu Xuanjia opened his slightly closed eyes, confirming the sign in with expectation. Ding! Sign in successfully, congratulations, open the first order picture book, Sparrow. Quote. Lu Xuanji was speechless for a while. The system, you play with me. Yeah, host, why are you so dark? I think I'm looking for a BLCKM*N who is not as dark as you. The system suddenly realized that something was not good, so it acted first, before Lu Xuanji had yet to speak. He complained to Lu Xuanji. Lu Xuanji's mouth twitched. The system is real. Forget it, let's take a look at the new species. Sparrow, first order, the most common small bird with superior reproductive ability. After years of competition and confrontation with humans for food, it has developed superior perception ability and is extremely fast and sensitive. Ability, sensitive, daily creation limit, 200,000. Can be upgraded, can be advanced, can be merged, can be demonized. Demonization requirement, 1 ordinary enlightenment pill. A Tier 1 species, can it be demonized? Lu Xuanji asked the system slightly in surprise. The previous underground rats and money rats can't be demonized. The system explained. Whether it can be demonized has nothing to do with rank, but with blood and spirituality. Like a sparrow, although it can be demonized, even if it is demonized, ascension is not strong enough, it can only be the most ordinary little monster. Lu Xuanjia nodded thoughtfully. Paying and gaining are always proportional. The demand for sparrow demonization is low, which shows that the sparrow demon is not awesome. Extract, sensitive. Although the sparrow can be demonized, Lu Xuanji didn't know what the spirit enlightening pill was. Having said that, it was not just a first-order species. Lu Xuanji directly extracted the sparrow's ability, and as a familiar sense of power emerged, everything became dull. There are still some benefits for the low level to the low level. For example, the upper limit of the creation of low-level species is high, and hundreds of thousands can be created in one day. With such a huge value, it's okay to use it to fuse species casually. If you're lucky, you can upgrade to start a new species. Maybe you still have a chance to get an illustration reward. Lu Xuanjia immediately merged the species he already had under his hands. The first is the lowest level and the largest number of underground rats and sparrows. Underground rat plus sparrow, fusion. Ding. The fusion match is 85%. Do you want to merge? Yes. Lu Xuanji confirmed the fusion. Ding. You are out of luck, the fusion failed. Ding. You are out of luck, the fusion failed. ... Quote. Well, he shouldn't expect any luck. Keep fusing. After 99 consecutive failures, Lu Xuanji finally merged successfully. Ding. Congratulations, the integration is successful, and you have obtained the second-level upgraded species of ratfinch. Ding. The second-order species ratfinch illustrated book has been opened. Congratulations, you have received the illustrated book reward, Shadow Servant ×2. Ratfinches, second order, a new species derived from the fusion of lower rodents and birds. It inherits the sharp teeth from underground rats and the flying ability of sparrows. Ability: cutting gold and breaking jade, max flying at extreme speed. Daily creation limit: 150,000. Can be upgraded, cannot be advanced, can be merged, and cannot be demonized. Shadow Servant: a servant from the shadow world. After confirming the call, Shadow Servant will appear next to you with 100% loyalty. The summoned Shadow Servant is initially a juvenile body with first-order strength. By absorbing the darkness value and killing creatures, the Shadow Servant can continue to grow. Summon Shadow Servant. Lu Xuanji was about to use up 2 Shadow Servant quotas. However, the next moment he was stupid. I'm going. Isn't it really a juvenile body? I saw a man and a woman. 2 babies wrapped in black cloth appeared beside him, one on the left and the other on the right. The dark eyes were still spinning around, seeming to be full of curiosity about the world. System: give me an explanation. Seeing that he summoned him to become an unmarried child with 2 sons, Lu Xuanjian was stunned on the spot. Is it time to return the goods now? The system seems to be aware that the problem is a bit big this time. Therefore, this guy actually pretended to be dead, and no matter how noisy Lu Xuanji was, the system stopped making noise. Bah! A shadow waiter raised his hand and grabbed the air, yelling to Lu Xuanjia. Lu Xuanji picked her up. Well, a big fat baby, quite blessed. I'm going. After a moment of appreciation, Lu Xuanji put the fat baby on the bed, and fell into contemplation as a thinker. Don't ask. To ask is to doubt life. Lu Xuanji lit a cigarette. He needed to calm down. However, just when he tastes life, a milky voice rang. Master, Grandma, want to drink Grandma. Perceiving the strength coming from the corner of his clothes, Lu Xuanji looked back and saw that the shadow attendant who had just been a baby had now become about 1 or 2 years old. A strange color flashed in Lu Xuanji's eyes. Is this good at facing the wind? It seems that they are too human-like, and they are preconceived. After all, they are Shadow Servant, and there must be a difference between the growth of human beings. System: give me an explanation, hurry up. Pretend to be dead again, my wife is gone. Lu Xuanji threatened. Although the system does not even have a body, its actions, words and deeds are all revealed, it is just a pornographic embryo. It has been explained very clearly. The Shadow Servant has absorbed the power of darkness and the power of death to grow. It is night, and it is full of free power of darkness. Don't worry about them, they will grow slowly. The system is weak and weak. Well, a very reasonable explanation. You told me to leave it alone. Lu Xuanji nodded, then asked the system loudly. If it wasn't that the system had no entity, really, he was sure and affirmed that he must have already used it now. Turning back, looking at Xiaoying's big watery eyes, staring at herself eagerly, what do you say, leave it alone? That's enough. Master, drink Grandma, Xiaoying said, dragging the corner of Lu Xuanji's clothes, sucking his fingers. Lu Xuanji had a black line, and suddenly there was a sense of guilt about what was going on. The Shadow Servant is an illustrated book reward. There is nothing wrong with calling one's own master, but... Lu Xuanjia raised his hand on Xiaoying's head, stay in the room obediently, I'll be back when I go. Yes, shadow waiter listening order. The two little shadow waiters replied with a serious face, but they were still a little bit milky. Lu Xuanjia couldn't bear to look straight, and went straight away. I just went out, but I remembered something, so I quickly turned back, took a few photos of the shadow servant, and posted a circle of friends. Marriage notice. I am unmarried with 2 sons, do not brush my teeth or take a bath, now I am looking for a beautiful little big sis as his wife. 10 minutes later, Lu Xuanji came back with a few boxes of milk. The 2 little shadow servants in the room have grown to the size of 2 or 3 years old, and they have been running around all over the floor. Lu Xuanjia snapped a few photos again. It's rare, this is not considered as experiencing the road of parenting in advance. Here, Lu Xuanjia plugged 2 boxes of milk into straws, and a little shadow served one. The 2 little shadow servants immediately hugged the milk and drank it. The darkness visible to the naked eye condensed around them, as if even the whole room had become a little darker, and turning on the light would not help. Lu Xuanji watched them grow up little by little, and it was about 6 years old in the middle of the night. During the period, I was bored and took a look at the own circle of friends. There have been quite a few replies to the joking activity just now. Oh, I looked at you honestly when I was studying, why? Modern foul-smelling young men, you think so beautifully, why don't you go to heaven? Lao Lu, what's the matter? In the circle of friends, there are some colleagues and classmates when he is studying. When colleagues know his current situation, they dare not reply to the news. The students from all over the world began to discuss under this dynamic. Lu Xuanji looked at it, and there were some private chats about own. For those who curse, Lu Xuanjia directly blocked the black. As for those who care about his own, Lu Xuanjia smiled and told them that it was just a joke. How funny, just a joke, to see these old classmates who haven't seen it for many years so clearly. Late at night, Lu Xuanji finally couldn't hold it, and fell asleep. Woke up in the morning, just stretched out, a wrung-out towel has been handed in front of him. Lu Xuanji took it in a daze, and wiped his face, thank you. Immediately afterwards, own clothes were also handed over. Just as Lu Xuanji reached out to take it, suddenly there was an excitement, that's not right. Ah! With a scream, Lu Xuanji jumped up from the bed and looked at the 13 or 14-year-old loli in front of him with a guarded face. Big doubts appeared in his small eyes. Shadow servant, master, what's the matter? Little loli was also taken aback, grievingly asked Lu Xuanji. No, nothing. No, you go out. How can a girl's family enter the room of an unmarried young man casually? Lu Xuanjia pointed to the door and said. No but, okay, master. Little loli shrugged, put down Lu Xuanjia's clothes and turned and went out. Master, you have overreacted. We are just a shadow waiter. Another little boy like shadow waiter put down his breakfast and explained indifferently. The corner of Lu Xuanjia's mouth twitched, but are you really human? What level is it? Lu Xuanjia calmed down, put on his clothes, and asked shadow servant. 3rd tier. The little boy Ying Shi replied indifferently. I hope the master can send us some tasks as soon as possible. I can't wait to smell the delicious breath of my soul. Ying Shi's immature face showed a terrifying and weird smile. Tier 3. What abilities do you have? Lu Xuanji muttered, only Tier 3, whose strength is still too low. However, being able to reach Tier 3 from Tier 1 in one night, the development potential of this shadow servant is still good. The little boy shadow attendant did not answer, but showed it in person. I saw the shadow servant in human form, melted, in an instant, turning into a shadow on the ground, and instantly overlapping with Lu Xuanjia's shadow. A black dagger had been placed on Lu Xuanjia's unknowingly. On the neck. We are good at stealth and assassination. This shadow dagger is our companion weapon. Each shadow servant has a different weapon. At first, it was just a normal iron weapon. As more souls are absorbed, the weapon becomes stronger, and it can even evolve into an artifact. In the history of our shadow servant, there was once a shadow servant senior who evolved the shadow dagger into a divine tool. If he shoots, even if he is a god, he will fall. The little boy shadow servant explained, talking about the shadow servant. The senior is actually a little proud. Do you still have history? Lu Xuanji was a little surprised. These 2 shadow servant were rewards from the illustrated book, and besides that, he didn't know who else had obtained Shadow Servant in any way. Of course, don't you have a history? That was an accident. The little boy Shadow Servant said unexpectedly, with a slight contempt in his tone. Our life is in the shadow world. Every shadow hopes that he can be selected as a shadow servant and follow Lord God. This allows us to travel between the two worlds. As for the shadow of the shadow servant, in the powerful ascension, it is often much faster than the ordinary shadow. Many famous shadow servant brought their stories of feats in other worlds back to the shadow world and became a monument in our world. Including the senior I just mentioned, he has reached the level that he can easily kill your gods, so he is also called the shadow god by our shadow world shadows. The little boy, the shadow attendant, explained. Originally, I had no interest in becoming a shadow servant or anything. Even if I didn't become a shadow servant, I could crush those so-called shadow servant Tianzhao. However, this time little sister was chosen. I heard that some Lord God will let shadow servant do some strange things. I will not let her serve the so-called Lord God alone. The little boy shadow servant held his arm and looked at it. Lu Xuanji had obvious rejection and guard in his eyes. Lu Xuanji's mouth twitched slightly. What the hell, system, you give me rough. I thought they were two blank creatures that could be used as tool people, but I didn't expect these two shadow servants to have complete backgrounds, memories, and even their own world system. So, you should have own name. What was your original name and what did you look like? Lu Xuanjia continued to ask the shadow attendant in front of him. The appearance of the little boy, the shadow attendant, changed again. He was the shadow of an adult, still looking quite heroic, with a cold expression on his face. But it only lasted less than a second before the shadow collapsed and changed back to the appearance of a 13-year-old human boy. My name is Minghui and little sister is Yingyu. You can drive us, and we will try our best to follow your orders. But, don't want me to do anything strange, little sister. Mingwei threw the breakfast into Lu Xuanji's hand and threatened. Lu Xuanji looked at the breakfast in his hand. Really a qualified waiter. That is, can you not do this kind of thing while talking fiercely? It's weird. I heard that you should be 100% loyal to my master, right? What if I want you to do something strange, little sister? Lu Xuanji asked jokingly while eating breakfast. Then I will kill you, no matter what the consequences are. Minghui said coldly. Lu Xuanjia raised his hand and squeezed his white face, saying cruel things like this can't scare people. You are only tier 3, what do you use to kill me? So, do you have a task for us? Mingwei snorted coldly, and handed Lu Xuanjia a napkin. The chaotic stone mountain outside Xinshan City, the energy point has erupted here for 30 hours, which is much longer than the time predicted by the prophets. The entire explosion range of the energy point has also spread from the initial diameter of 5 kilometers to the current diameter of 32 kilometers. The awakened people who were waiting here early were a bit strange, which was different from what they expected. At this time, an ordinary person stumbled on the road and the mountains, as if very anxious. The energy point exploded out of the periphery, and there was no awakened person in sight, but the eyes of countless awakened persons had already fallen on that ordinary person. Mistakenly, ordinary people come to join in the fun too. The awakened people murmured in low voice, the next moment, it is necessary to determine the fate of this ordinary person death. At this time, the ordinary person walked into the Chen family's territory. Some of the awakened who were preparing to kill ordinary people gave up. And in the originally empty woodland, a figure suddenly appeared from the trunk. Chen Yun, what are you doing? The Chen family's awakener asked the ordinary person who accidentally broke in. Master, it's not good, the big thing is bad. Yesterday Tianshou young master went to the ground city and never came back. I got news early this morning that Tianshou young master once fought with people in Dongxing market, and now, is dead now. Chen Yun said. What? In an instant, this woodland was suddenly full of people, and they asked Chen Yun in shock. What are you talking about? Shou'er is dead. Impossible. Shou'er is a tier 6 awakener. Shou'er is going to study at the Academia Sinica. How could he be dead? Chen Guizhong clutched Chen Yun's collar tightly and questioned Chen Yun excitedly. He couldn't believe it, and he didn't want to believe what Chen Yun said. Chen Yun was too frightened to speak, and allowed Chen Guizhong to push. Where is Shoer? Take me there. Chen Guizhong calmed down for a long time, choked up and asked Chen Yun. Still murmured, it's impossible, it doesn't make sense. The bones of the 3 young masters, I have been taken back into the village. Chen Yun bowed his head. Chen Guizhong staggered, his bones, he couldn't hear these 2 words. Go back with me, I want to frustrate that Lu Xuanji. Chen Guizhong calmed down and shouted angrily. Dad, calm down. Dad, the secret realm is about to open. Bah, you all shut up. Secret realm, what secret realm? Hee, after waiting for a day and a night, I saw that the energy burst is getting bigger and bigger, where is the secret realm? Ah, tell me, where is the secret realm? Now that my son is dead, don't you allow me to avenge my son? Chen Guizhong questioned. Suddenly hearing the bad news, he didn't want to bother about it, to care about family interests, and what was cost-effective. There is only one thought in his heart, revenge for his son. Although he has 3 sons, Chen Tianshou is undoubtedly the best of these 3 sons. Okay, Dage, we can't let outsiders watch jokes. It's all this time, are you going to give up the new secret realm? Seeing this, the second master of the Chen family couldn't help standing up and saying. Then Lu Xuanji, even Tianshou's nephew. Do you know what his strength is? You shouldn't rush for revenge. It's better to get some treasures in the secret realm first, and you will be sure of it by then. Haha, it's not your son who died. Of course you can say this cool thing. My Chen family's 4 major 6th level masters go with me, I don't believe that he can't kill him as a savage. Chen Guizhong resolutely said. Dage, the new secret realm is related to the future of the family. It is not you alone in charge. If you are so cupped hands, forgive me, little brother, I can't follow my fate. You are also members of the Chen family, you all said, show your hands to vote, and now go back to avenge the 3 young masters, or advanced secret realm. The second master of the Chen family looked at the 4 tier 6 masters and asked. Boom, almost at the same time, with a muffled sound, the energy burst stopped expanding, and a portal that looked like a cloud of ink and smoke gradually appeared in front of everyone. Startled by the loud noise, everyone looked at the direction of the secret realm portal, and a look of greed flashed in their eyes. The ancients said that gentlemen avenge revenge. It is not too late for 10 years. Now that the secret realm has been opened, you might as well wait for the secret realm to come out after exploring the secret realm, and then go to Lu Xuanjia for revenge. That's right, since that kid can fight our Chen family to this day, his strength should not be underestimated. The ability to overpower the beasts has allowed him to play to the extreme, which is inherently difficult to deal with. Several tier 6 abilities cast a glance at each other. You said every word. For them, every new secret realm is an opportunity to increase the strength of ascension. This kind of opportunity can be met but not sought. If it conflicts with the interests of the Chen family, their first protection is of course their own interests. Hearing the words of the 6th order abilities, Chen Guizhong smiled bitterly and suddenly fell a lot. Good. Family is important. Chen Guizhong said this sentence with a wry smile. It wasn't until this time that he realized that he, the patriarch, did not have the ability to decide everything at all. This is a world where the strong are all powerful. An old guy like him who plays with power has no choice but to lose to his strength when it comes to the really important things. Chen Guizhong originally had no awakening ability, but through a research result of the Xinshan Research Institute, he gained the strength of Tier 2 awakeners. With only Tier 2 strength, if it were not for the Chen family patriarch, he would not be able to speak in front of Tier 6 awakeners. Normally, he can also use his benefits to threaten and lure the 6th order awakeners, but at this time, for the 6th order capable persons in the family, the new secret realm is the greatest benefit. Including the 6th order ability person of the Chen family's family, he would not listen to his patriarch at this time. Chen Guizhong did not have any ability to command these Tier 6 abilities. In the end, with Chen Guizhong's compromise, the Chen family continued to wait for the secret realm to be fully opened, and entered the secret realm as soon as possible to grab resources. What's wrong with the Chen family? Mo Yun, who was dozing off in another treetop, glanced in the direction of the Chen family, and asked Chu Yu. Miss, it's Chen Jiasan young master who died. Chu Yu replied. A strange color flashed in Mo Yunwei's eyes. Is that the genius of the Chen family? Chen Tianshou, this Southwest ability list is also considered to be on the list, because he has 2 abilities, ranking 15th in the ability list, not far from Mo Yunwei. The power list is a potential list, ranking the potential geniuses with rare abilities and multiple abilities. The top 20 on the list, as long as they don't die, they can enter the 9th rank steadily. It just takes some time. Chen Tianshou's death was tantamount to the fall of a future Tier 9 strong man, enough to cause a small earthquake in the southwest region. Hearing this news, Mo Yunwei fell into deep thought. Could it be him? It seems that the Chen family has only become enemies with him recently, otherwise Chen Tianshou will definitely be here now. However, it cannot be ruled out that there are hostile forces of the Chen family, taking this opportunity to snipe Chen Tianshou. Once a genius like Chen Tianshou grows up, the Chen family will undoubtedly become one of the dominant forces in the southwest. There is no such genius in the clan, and those who have enemies with the Chen family will naturally have to prepare early. In Xinchen City, Lu Xuanji was eating breakfast at the roadside stall as if it were all right, throwing something into his shadow from time to time. What kind of steamed bun? Throw it into the shadow, and disappear in an instant. After eating breakfast, Lu Xuanji went to the central shopping mall, ready to change his outfit. How much is this dress? Passing by a clothing store, Lu Xuanji was instantly attracted by one of the clothes, and walked in and asked the salesperson. 2,000. The salesperson glanced at him and said casually, "Wrap it up for me." Lu Xuanji didn't mind, and continued. But just after speaking this sentence, he looked at the dress in front of him and fell into contemplation. It's no wonder that I have such an eye-catching sight, and the first time I see it, I have an impulse to buy it. Isn't this still a plaid shirt? It's just that the color scheme looks much more comfortable compared to the stall on my own. Forget it, no more. Lu Xuanji returned to his senses and said to the salesperson who was about to take off his shirt. The salesperson rolled his eyes at him, put the clothes back in angrily, and muttered, "Hey. If you have no money, you still have a lot of money. Don't enter the store if you can't afford it." Lu Xuanji spared his head. "I just don't like the plaid pattern. Do you have any other clothes that suit me? Go out and turn left, Fuquoc Underground Mall is for you." The clerk sneered. "Sorry, can you say it again?" Lu Xuanji asked with a smile. At this time, the little shadow attendant was one from the left and the other, one with a dagger and the other with a sickle, and had already placed the weapon on the clerk's neck. Awakener," the clerk stammered with a pale face. She was deeply regretful in her heart. Why didn't she expect that this looking downright and sorrowful guy turned out to be an awakened one? Look at the awakened people. Who walks on the street is not dragged like 2 to 5 to 80,000, Lu Xuanji does not have this temperament. You said you were a good awakener, why are you so low-key? Lord Awakener, I was just talking nonsense just now, don't take it to your heart. In my shop, just look at it and see which one you fancy, I will give it to you. The clerk said tremblingly. The awakened is almost rampant in the ground world, especially in front of ordinary people. Although the city guard will also deal with incidents that the awakened people endanger the city, there are laws specifically aimed at the awakened people. However, when ordinary people face the awakened, it is like facing a thug with a gun. What will the city guard deal with? If a person is dead, can he be resurrected? Don't be so nervous, Lu Xuanji still said with a smile. He just wanted to buy a few clothes and change his image. However, he feels that his own aesthetic has been scoured by the O1 world. At first glance, this plaid shirt is the most pleasing to the eye. Just when Lu Xuanji, gently, invited the clerk to help him come up with ideas and save his aesthetics, a nosy voice rang. Stop, relying on your own awakened ability to bully the weak, do you think you are very powerful? A scum like you simply lose the face of our awakened ones. The awakened gains powerful abilities, not for you to oppress the civilians, but to protect the civilians. Lu Xuanji turned his head in surprise, and saw a young student looking like a student walking in with a bunch of green onions. As he walked, he plausibly reprimanded Lu Xuanji. Lu Xuanji's expression became extremely weird, and he looked up and down at this student-like figure. The young man touched about 1.5 meters, wearing a white t-shirt and a sky blue casual jacket, with a delicate face and a light of justice in his eyes. He was also considered a high-spirited young man. If I met him 10 years earlier, I'm afraid the two would be quite speculative. The Awakeners exist to protect civilians. Boy, your point of view is very interesting, Lu Xuanji said to the young man in his pocket. In today's world, there are cases of the Awakened oppressing civilians everywhere, but he insists on the view that the Awakened exists to protect ordinary people, and he doesn't know whether to call him naive or stubborn. Let go of her. The young man pulled out a green onion and pointed at Lu Xuanjia. Lu Xuanji saw that when the young man pulled out the green onion, a ray of light similar to a sharp blade flashed on the original ordinary green onion. The green onion, which was supposed to be soft, pointed straight at Lu Xuanjia. What if I don't let it go? To maintain your justice, Lu Xuanji said amusedly. Xinchen City is the most powerful but the three families. The genius of the Chen family has already seen it himself. He doesn't believe it, but believes that Chen City has anything else to threaten the existence of own. Don't let it go. A cold light flashed in the boy's eyes. Then don't blame me for being impolite. After all, the young man shook the green onions in his hand and attacked Lu Xuanjia. Swipe. Lu Xuanji dodged in an instant, and the clothes rack behind him was directly cut off by sharp edges. The heart is hidden. Lu Xuanjia used the ability of the heart ape to settle in the heart of the young man. He wanted to see what would happen if such a righteous guy was controlled by the negative emotions in his heart. However, Lu Xuanji unexpectedly discovered that Xinzang could not be successfully activated. This guy, at least tier 5 or above. The ability to hide in the heart is weird, and once successful, the recruits will die forever. But to succeed, there are actually some conditions. For example, the opponent's strength cannot be much higher than himself. If the opponent is tough and has no flaws in his mood, he will most likely fail. The strength of the teenager cannot be judged from the shot he just made, but his Xinxing is definitely very tough. Since the heart is useless, Lu Xuanjia can only use other abilities, the monkey golden body. Monkey boxing. Lu Xuanjia used his monkey fist to force him forward and attack the young man. Monkey boxing is agile without losing strength, coupled with the addition of Sparrow's agility. In terms of dexterity, at least it has reached the level of 6th order. However, the young man in front of him still avoided this strike of Lu Xuanji. The green onion in his hand, using the sword technique, attacked Lu Xuanji. It can be seen that his sword technique is not ordinary, but rather advanced. Lu Xuanji's expression became serious, and there was no such thing as sword technique among the Awakened's abilities. The young man's abilities are obviously the sharpness he added to the green onions just now. This sword technique, he has practiced it himself. The average awakened person is just an ordinary person before awakening, and even after awakening, they usually try their best to enhance their abilities. Like a teenager, he not only has supernatural powers, but also has other systematic combat abilities. No matter if he was or is now, he can't be an ordinary person. Guessing the origin of the young man, which one of the three major families would belong to, Lu Xuanji's monkey fist was ultimately better than the young sword technique, and he grabbed a gap and punched the young man's sword-holding wrist. The young man's expression was calm, he didn't even evade Lu Xuanji's punch. Lu Xuanjia didn't know why until the punch fell. This guy can not only add a sharp edge to other items, he himself is a sharp sword. Hiss. The ape's golden body was ruthlessly cracked, and Lu Xuanjia's half-arm was split into two. Fortunately, he pulled back in time and took a half-step back. The immortal body quickly repaired the injury, and the blood on the ground still reminded the scene just now. Rank 6. Lu Xuanji questioned. It was not the 6th stage, and he couldn't get rid of the own ape golden body. It was a tie at most just now. Step 7. The young man replied, holding a sword flower, putting the green onions into the bunch of green onions. Can you let her go now? Let go of her, Lu Xuanjia said to the two little shadow servants. Little shadow servant licked his lips, feeling a little regretful, just a little bit, the soul's delicious breath. You are a person with multiple abilities, can you tell me how many kinds are there? The boy looked at Lu Xuanji and asked. Should you not introduce yourself before asking someone this kind of question? Lu Xuanji glanced at the young man, and asked him rhetorically. Since it is the 7th rank, it is impossible to belong to the three major families, it should be from outside. If one of the three major families had a 7th tier master, Xinchen City would not be in such a three-legged situation now. The boy hesitated for a moment, and reached out to Lu Xuanjia, Dunanshang, a scholar of the third phase of the Academia Sinica. In Dunanshang's eyes, the young man in front of him has great potential. When he first played against him, he already showed no less than 3 abilities. Even in the Academia Sinica, there are rarely 3 abilities. It's a pity that Dunanshang took a crooked path and oppressed the civilians, making Dunanshang a little bit disdainful of it. However, looking at Lu Xuanjia's talented face, he still plans to get to know him. Lu Xuanjia, not much, just 17 or 8 abilities. Lu Xuanjia casually stretched out his hand, shook Dunanshang's hand, and replied. It turns out that he is really a student. He should be not too old. Not only does his appearance look too clean, but his character is also too much. I told you the truth, but you fooled me. People like you are really hard to change. Dunanshang, who was shaking hands with Lu Xuanjia, heard his answer and threw away Lu Xuanjia's hand. Displeased. I really want to kill you, lest you do evil for your own desires in the future. Hey, you pretend to be righteous, but you want to kill the innocent. Who is the scum? Lu Xuanji rolled his eyes and asked back. Did you see me killing? Or set fire? Which count can condemn me to death? So I didn't kill you. If I didn't show up, you would kill her. Dunanshang looked at the scared salesperson. Seventh tier, this is a high-level person who has only been seen on the national news, and he has actually seen it alive. At this time, the salesperson looked at Dunanshang intently, and was so excited that he was about to faint. Yes, yeah, your lord, you have to call me the shots. The sales clerk came back to his senses and climbed up the pole, begging Dunanshang. What am I? Lu Xuanji glared at the salesperson. You really are all the way, the labor and management just want to buy a dress. When did I say that I was going to kill? I was the one who was most aggrieved, okay. You are still staring at her. Senior sister always said that I was unresponsive and didn't understand murderousness at all. She was wrong. You better leave here now. Dunanshang threatened Lu Xuanjia when he saw this. Seeing Dunanshang's warning look, Lu Xuanji spread his hands and walked out of the clothing store. However, after going out more than 10 meters, what are you doing with me? In order to make sure that you will not go back again and threaten the life of that ant, I want to watch you leave the mall. You don't seem to be leaving now. Ant. With star eyes, the clerk who quietly followed Dunanshang's words suddenly stiffened and the corners of his mouth twitched. You have nothing to do, right? Lu Xuanjia couldn't bear it, turning around and grabbing Dunanshang. He didn't hide, letting Lu Xuanji choke his throat. I'm a person with 3 abilities, all at the 7th rank, and I have been practicing martial arts for 13 years. Dunanshang said calmly without blinking his eyes. The implication is obvious. You can't beat me. Lu Xuanjia raised his hand, suddenly a little frustrated. It was really bad for 8 lifetimes. Grandma's special. Wait, the 3 abilities are amazing, and the 7th level is amazing. When Grandpa I signed 2 tier 7 species, I must find the place today. Dage, stop playing, I just want to buy a few sets of clothes, you have to take care of this too. Lu Xuanji had no choice but to negotiate peacefully with him. I don't believe it. Dunanshang picked up a green onion, rubbed it, and gnawed directly. Lu Xuanjia frowned and moved away from him. Follow along if you like. Lu Xuanji shrugged and walked into another store. In front of the rows of clothing, Lu Xuanjia stood with his head up for a long time. What to do? There are too many styles, which one to buy? He still wants to buy the destined plaid shirt. If you really want to buy clothes, how can you stand here in a daze? You have been standing for 5 minutes, are you waiting for me to go? Dunanshang stood on the side, had eaten 1 green onion, looked at the other green onions in his arms, a glimmer of salivation flashed in his eyes, and tightened the bag. Dage, you have so much imagination, I just don't know which one to buy. Did you see this on me? Dunanshang took out the phone in his pocket. Wait, I'll read the news first. Lu Xuanjia was speechless, and looked at the probe. When he saw the news pushed on Dunanshang's mobile phone, his face couldn't help but change. Let me go. The confrontation between myself and the Chen family has been on the regional news, which Wick newspaper did a good thing. Only the Xinshan Second Company collapsed before, and Lu Xuanji was the culprit, and the messy things compiled by Zhao Yang were on the news of Xinchen City. Now, the Chen family is confronting a mysterious stranger, and the death of several awakened members of the Chen family has actually appeared on the regional news. Usually Lu Xuanji would not care about this kind of thing. If you get the news, just get on the news, it's my shit. But now Du Nansheng, a nosy and self-proclaimed righteous guy, is standing next to him. If he knew he was a wanted criminal and killed someone, this. What's so interesting about the news? Spicy chicken information, just block it. Didn't you say that I lied to you? Come and advise me to buy some clothes. I'm really gone. Lu Xuanji pressed the screen of Du Nansheng's phone and persuaded him. Let go. Du Nansheng turned to look at Lu Xuanjia. This guy specified something. Nothing to look good. You said you were young. What news do you watch if you don't watch anime? Lu Xuanji naturally did not let go, trying to snatch Du Nansheng's mobile phone. I read a news. You have to stop me. There must be a problem. Return the phone to me. What can be the problem? You think too much. I just can't understand that you suddenly interrupted to watch some news when you were talking to people. It's too disrespectful to people. Lu Xuanji defended. Du Nansheng's mobile phone flew up into the sky and fell to the ground during the fight between the two. The screen flickered a few times and turned black. Du Nansheng was dumbfounded, and looked directly at his mobile phone. Lu Xuanji was relieved. I saw your picture on the news map. A few seconds later, Du Nansheng picked up his own phone and said. Sure enough, did you do something terrible, right? Maybe I should have killed you. Lu Xuanji's mouth twitched. What can you see clearly? While patted the dust on his mobile phone, Du Nansheng, who was about to answer, turned to look at the small TV in another store, and suddenly stopped. Lu Xuanji followed and looked over. His face changed slightly, planning to leave before this guy didn't react. What's going on? You'd better have a reasonable explanation. Du Nansheng's green onion hovered an inch in front of Lu Xuanji's neck and asked him. Private grievances. The members of the Chen family are not ordinary people. You don't need to be nosy, do you? Lu Xuanji sighed and frowned. Du Nansheng's 5 fingers holding the sword rose and fell one by one, thinking, although in Lu Xuanji's opinion, he was a little naive, he still knew the urinary nature of the family of the awakened. It is better to say that it is these families of awakened people who are really systematically squeezing the common people. Able to stand out from the chaos of the old and new days 3 years ago and become a powerful force among the awakened, which family has no corpse at its feet. Even if it is an official force that represents justice, the former People's Army has used extraordinary means in exchange for the current stable situation. Du Nansheng inserted the green onions into the bunch of green onions, then turned around and picked up a few pieces of clothes from the hangers and threw them together. Buying these pieces should be the most suitable in the store. After all, Du Nansheng went straight out, and it seemed that he was still in a hurry. Lu Xuanji was surprised when he saw a young girl in red sportswear running up and down. Did you see such a tall young man in blue casual clothes? The girl probe asked Lu Xuanji and the clerk in the store. He went over there. Lu Xuanji was taken aback, and decisively betrayed Du Nansheng, pointing in the direction he was leaving. Thanks. No thanks. I am a good role model for Peak L. Du Nansheng, stop for me. Is it so difficult to run away while I try on clothes and ask you to help you see which clothes look good? Senior sister, be lighter. We all said that we are out shopping for groceries. Just go to the supermarket. Once you enter the clothing store, we will run out of funds for the next month. Through the window glass of the storefront, Lu Xuanji watched Du Nansheng being dragged back by the girl's ears, yelling and arguing. When the two passed by the shop, Lu Xuanji smiled and waved at him, wishing you good luck. These are all wrapped up for me. How much is it? Lu Xuanji turned around and handed the clothes picked out by Du Nansheng to the salesperson and asked. Let me see, there are 128,000 in total, sir. The clerk said to Lu Xuanji after a while. Swipe the card. Lu Xuanji handed out his own card, buying a few clothes without committing a crime. With the clothes, Lu Xuanji returned to the hotel and made a bowl of instant noodles while watching the news about OWN on TV. Those who provide news clues, depending on the value of the news, can get 5,000 approximately 2W remuneration. Lu Xuanji looked at the hotline under the news and fell into thought. After eating the instant noodles, Lu Xuanji logged into the mission website and pulled the people on the mission list into the encrypted chat room again. How are you preparing, boss? All ready. Well, ready. Everyone answered one after another. At this time, the invited people had gathered together, and they were all nervous when they found that they had been pulled into the chat room. Can you trace his location? The crowd asked an information supernatural person. Immediately, the capable person closed his eyes and looked a little nervous. Found it. After a while, the capable person replied with a sigh of relief. Lu Xuanji, who was sitting in front of the computer at this time, also suddenly felt something was wrong, but at this time, he still didn't know what was wrong. This is from the Sparrow ability, Sensitive Early Warning. Sensitivity not only can increase some speed, but also has a strengthening effect on the sixth sense. The ability fluctuations of the information ability just now appeared nearby, and ordinary awakeners would certainly not be able to find it. After all, they were all similar to the energy of the data wave, and they could only be discovered by the same information ability. But with sensitive abilities, Lu Xuanji was also vaguely aware of it. Without thinking about it, Lu Xuanji put away his backpack, changed his clothes, and left the hotel directly. Just 10 minutes after he left, 5 or 6 mission website-capable people rushed to this remote small hotel. However, looking at the empty room with only one abandoned plaid shirt left, the expressions of several people changed. He knew in advance, could he be a prophet? A capable person said in a deep voice. Tomorrow is the mission time, he agreed with Sparks. If he is a prophet, we might not be able to catch him. Then tomorrow. Impossible. If it is only a prophetic ability, how can he kill the wind and laugh at them? Tomorrow, let Sparks and them go according to his plan, and act by chance. The webmaster groaned. A little spark, they are the core masters of the mission website. It is impossible for the website to see them involved in such absurd missions. After communicating with these celebrities on the list, the website decided to catch the Beastmaster first, and then torture him about the mission. But now, it is obviously impossible to catch the Beastmaster, and only the invited list names can act on their own. They didn't dare to disobey Lu Xuanji directly, otherwise they might end up just like the first batch of people who left the chat room with Feng Xiaoxiao. You are not honest, Lu Xuanji said in the first sentence when he invited everyone into the encrypted chat room for the third time. Boss, you misunderstood. Yes, boss, you have hacked the website backend. It should be the website administrator, they can't watch it, right? Everyone shirked responsibilities with one word and one word. The mysterious and powerful Beastmaster puts them under great pressure. No one didn't want to follow Feng Xiaoxiao and they died without knowing it. I will give you another chance, and hope that tomorrow at 10 o'clock, all of you can be there. Sky City, Ming Park, meet at 10 o'clock. If you don't come, my task can be slowed down, and perhaps you can talk to King Yama for your reasons. Lu Xuanji threatened. Of course, since we agreed, we won't fail to come. Everyone sighed in relief and quickly replied. Webmaster, this guy is too horrible. Talking to him, my heart trembled. Has Feng Xiaoxiao found out the cause of their death? Bingali Xiaogongju asked the webmaster. Checked, some people were scared to death. Some people died of heartburn, and their hair was all white. The station master Cheng Shanbai said solemnly. We checked the information, the other parties should be emotionally capable. But, we just chased to the hotel and found that he had left early, maybe he is still a prophet, it's not easy. By the way, in this case, you'd better not have any other thoughts before tomorrow. Cheng Shanbai reminded. Otherwise, the prophet is predictable. At 12 midnight, a familiar voice rang in Lu Xuanji's ears. Ding, do you sign in? Yes, Lu Xuanji affirmed, with a hint of expectation in his tone. Ding, sign in successfully, congratulations, open the second order Flamingo illustrated book. Quote. Lu Xuanji failed to look forward and gave a wry smile. There is only level 5, and I don't know if it will be enough to cope with tomorrow's situation. Flamingo, second order, alias flamingo, a large social bird that feeds on plankton and algae, has a long neck and a red body. Ability: ultra-high altitude flight. Flying altitude surpasses ordinary birds. Flame, low-level fire protection technique. Daily creation limit: 150,000. Can be upgraded, can be advanced, can be integrated, not demonized. It is another bird that can create in large numbers. Lu Xuanji first used all the 3 days of creation. Blue-winged birds, 10. The 5 of the first day were killed by Chen Tianshou. 9 heart apes, plus the 3 that already existed, a total of 12. 600,000 underground rats, plus some surviving before, a total of 750,000. 40 money rats are used to restrain and assist in the control of underground rats. There were 600,000 sparrows, and hundreds of sparrows were consumed by fusion, leaving more than 590,000. 450,000 squirrels. As for the earthworms, forget it, keep those with the ability to fight against the earth, and create it on the spot. Otherwise, with the action power of earthworms, there is no way to enter the city of the sky, let alone deal with the capable ones. The mighty animal army filled the park. Lu Xuanji waved his hand to let them disperse on their own, leaving behind some of the lower-level species. Trying to merge and upgrade a new species, the winning rate would be much higher. Now until the action, there is no chance to sign in. Only by integrating the upgraded new species, you can quickly increase your own strength. Sparrow plus flamingo. Fusion. Ding. The fusion match is 95%, is it fusion? The match is so high. Lu Xuanji was stunned for a moment. Sparrow plus flamingo were almost the fusion species with the highest matching degree since he obtained the system. The high degree of matching indicates that they both have the same ancestral bloodline. The system explained. However, this kind of low-level species has developed to the present. I don't know how many ancestors there have been. Occasionally, they will mate with other similar species. The probability of having the same ancestor is quite high. The system continued. Fortunately just now, he was finally transferred to Europe, and Lu Xuanji couldn't help being speechless when he heard the system add it. Okay, accept your fate. I am a non-chief, and it is impossible for heaven-defying to change my fate. Confirm fusion. Ding, you are out of luck, the integration failed. The system, with such a high degree of matching, can the fusion fail? Lu Xuanji twitched the corner of his eyes and asked the system. Host, this is your problem. I think even if it is 100% fusion, there is still the possibility of failure. The system despised. Fart, why didn't I think I was so bad before? I can pay back every time I buy scraping paper in elementary school. Lu Xuanji retorted through gritted teeth. Host, do you know who your grandpa is? The system didn't argue with him, but asked rhetorically. Lu Xuanji was stunned. He really didn't know this question. Before, he thought that grandpa was just an old farmer. He liked singing and fishing. He was all right and he turned his back on the loess and grew some vegetables. But the question is, if grandpa is really an old farmer, where can he get a system for himself? Who is my grandfather? Lu Xuanji asked in a deep voice. The system must know. Hey, admit it. You are a destiny star. If you were not born in this family, a drought thunder would have killed you. To shut up, Lu Xuanji said depressed, that he couldn't even win a system. However, is he really a destiny star? At this moment, Lu Xuanji couldn't help but aroused a deep suspicion. Fusion, fusion, fusion. The indignant Lu Xuanji can only turn his anger into fusion and continue to merge the two species of flamingo and sparrow. They are all low-level species, with tens of thousands in number. If you don't believe that tens of thousands of fusions, you can't make a successful one. Lu Xuanji made up his mind, but in fact he was not so bad, he succeeded only a dozen times. Ding, the fusion is successful, you get a sparrow, second order. Well, advanced, not upgraded. What's the use of Lu Xuanji taking a second order sparrow? He can only choose to continue the fusion. His goal at this time is to merge an upgraded species, so that his animal brother may be more than 100,000 more. And the upgraded thing is not necessarily, the species after the upgrade must be higher than the one before the upgrade. Ding, successful integration, you get a flamingo, tier 3. Another successful one, still not upgraded. Fusion, fusion, ding, the integration is successful, you get a sparrow, second order. Ding, if the fusion is successful, you will get a flamingo, tier 3. Sparrow, second order, plus flamingo, third order, fusion. Ding, you are out of luck, the integration failed. Ding, you are out of luck, the integration failed. Ding. The fusion is successful. You will get the new species vermilion bird, the only one. Oh, Tier 3 sparrow. Lu Xuanji was already a little numb by the constantly ringing prompts, and muttered indifferently. Wait, what did you just say? Vermilion bird. After that, Lu Xuanji suddenly recovered and asked the system. You made a god-ranked species vermilion bird. The system said lightly, and it seemed unhappy to see Lu Xuanjia go crazy for his own blackness. Vermilion bird. Ha ha, I made it. I made it. Parents, have you seen it in Tianyuling? I made it. Lu Xuanji laughed loudly, jumped onto a chair in the park and screamed to the sky, like a lunatic. With this frantic laughter, the homeless people in a 500-meter radius of the park moved a little farther away. If the system has a body, it is already holding the forehead at this time, and it is too losing face. Why is this kind of person its host? That's not right. System, this is the god-tier species you are talking about, or the only one. Why is it only a 7th tier? Calming down, Lu Xuanjia looked at a flaming red bird in front of him and asked the system. This, vermilion bird, at a glance, is not much different from the sparrow, except that it is a bit larger and the whole body is fiery red. It looks like a third-rate species that combines the racial characteristics of sparrows and flamingos. Don't you think that the god-ranked species will directly destroy the heavens and the earth? This vermilion bird is just a juvenile body just born. It has the strength of Tier 7. What qualifications do you, Tier 5 rookie, have to laugh at others as a third-rate species? System, I feel like you are making a lot of sense, so I won't care about you this time. Lu Xuanji touched his nose and replied after being reprimanded by the system. The system despised for a while, how can you care about me? Labor and capital don't even have a physical entity, there is a kind of you buckle me out of your head. Lu Xuanji took out his mobile phone and opened his small notebook. On March 7, 2020, the system verbally offended and reprimanded, so I don't care about it this time. Host, what are you doing? The system panicked and asked Lu Xuanji. Keep your grudges. Lu Xuanji replied calmly. I wrote down the few times you smashed me before. Why are you so narrow-minded? The system only felt that the tone of his voice was a little dry, and asked Lu Xuanjia. Excuse me, don't you say that my destiny is declining? I even have my parents dead. If others dare to provoke me, of course, there must be revenge and grievances. Lu Xuanji put away the phone and replied. It makes sense. This time, it was the system's turn to cry without tears. Let me see the attributes of vermilion bird. Lu Xuanji instructed the system. Brush. Vermilion bird's attribute panel appeared in front of Lu Xuanji. Vermilion bird, myth unique 7th tier, one of the 4 sacred beasts, the southern vermilion bird, guarding the southern star, can attract the power of the star to defend against the enemy and the fire of the natal god. Abilities. 10,000s of fire, the law of extreme fire, Nanming Lihuo, different fire of the gods, worship of 10,000 fires, southern town beast guard the south, tune the power of the star ground body of the sacred beast, 4 saints, one of the beasts, all beings worship, and the Eucharist is immortal. Vermilion bird has only 4 abilities, but each ability is not as specific as the low-level species. Each ability contains countless usage changes. Just from its ability, you can vaguely see the ostentation of the beast. No, it's a holy beast. The sacred beast may have an entire race, but this is the only one of the sacred beasts. System, can this only be removed? Lu Xuanji asked the system greedily. Think about it, if I waved a million vermilion bird, wouldn't that scene be the world, the 3 realms, 6 realms, nowhere to go? You're thinking about fart. The system that was originally behaved, couldn't help but exasperated when he heard what he said. Even if you hold grudges, and you are still greedy, can't you have a little good character? Sun Wukong can remove the only one, why can't vermilion bird? Lu Xuanji was a little unwilling. The system was silent for a while, and I shouldn't have said this to him. Anyway, it's not possible. The system defended. Lord, don't be embarrassed. My vermilion bird is the southern town beast. I control the law of fire. There is only one in the sky and the earth. Unless I die, there won't be a second vermilion bird. A crisp one. With the sound, Lu Xuanjia looked at vermilion bird in front of him in surprise. Do you know the system? Ling is. Vermilion bird was about to answer, but suddenly stopped. After a while, He continued. A ling is a tool spirit, I can talk to it, it is its power that created me, otherwise there is no vermilion bird in this world. Quote. Vermilion bird's answer must have been disturbed, perhaps the guy in the system. Spiritual. Is the body of the system the bead that Grandpa shot into his body? The tool spirit that can create vermilion bird, and not only vermilion bird, Lu Xuanji can't think of any magical item that can have this kind of power. You are a sacred beast, can you transform it? Lu Xuanji asked Vermilion Bird to put down the doubts in his heart. He doesn't have the ability or the right to solve these questions now, and it's just annoying that if he doesn't forget it. No, I'm only level 7 now, and I need level 12 to transform into shape. Vermilion Bird replied in a crisp voice. Hiss, 12th order. Lu Xuanji's cheeks hurt. Now the highest known realm in the world is only 9th order. Does Vermilion Bird need 12th order to transform? How many ranks are there? As far as I know, the strongest people in our world are only rank 9. Lu Xuanji asked. If it is purely based on the order, the highest realm I know is equivalent to at least 2,000 orders. Vermilion Bird groaned and replied. However, after the 12th level, it is not based on the level theory, it needs to be converted. Lu Xuanjia has some brain pain, 2,000 steps. He is only tier 5. This feels like a high mountain standing still. The 9th level master who originally thought it was very powerful, now it seems that it turned out to be just a scum. Lord, my current strength is very low, if you can help me find some exotic fire to swallow it, my growth will not let you down. Vermilion Bird said coquettishly like a little girl. In fact, it may really be a little girl, a newborn milk doll. Why should I be able to find a different kind of fire here? Lu Xuanji rolled his eyes, thinking that this Vermilion Bird was a little naive. Come over, aren't you able to control fire? Let's make a fire, a little bigger, and it's cool. Lu Xuanji grabbed Vermilion Bird and put it in his palm as a heater. Vermilion Bird was stunned, and the system was stunned. I am a Vermilion Bird. Vermilion Bird is a holy beast, guarding the south. You actually use me as a heater. My Suzaku has never suffered such a shameful shame. It's hot, keep the fire down. Lu Xuanjia squatted on the bench in the park holding Vermilion Bird. Good, the angry Vermilion Bird dumbly responded. In the Sky City, Dunansheng held a computer to check Lu Xuanjia's information. Today, after releasing Lu Xuanji, he was still a little uneasy. If it was because he let him go, and caused more innocent people to die, Dunansheng could not forgive himself. After returning, he began to search for Lu Xuanji's information with his computer until now. Pieces of information were pieced together, and Dunansheng saw the truth of the matter through the glitz of the internet. About a week ago, Lu Xuanji, who worked for Xinshan's second company, lost his own girlfriend. The woman jumped down from the 32-story building. An ordinary person, how desperate it is to be unafraid of this frightening height. She was determined to die and jumped. According to the data, she chose to jump down from the 32-story building because she failed to seduce her boss and had no face to meet people. Dunansheng didn't believe it. He knew how hypocritical these media were. He also knew that if a person with a boyfriend could shamelessly seduce another man, the frustration of being rejected would not be enough to kill her. After Shu Su died, Lu Xuanji, who had always been an ordinary person, showed his fangs, and killed 7 awakened persons of the Chen family, as well as the genius of the Chen family, Chen Tianshou. Dunansheng still didn't believe it. He fought Lu Xuanji, and Lu Xuanji couldn't kill Chen Tianshou. Maybe Chen Tianshou couldn't kill him, but Lu Xuanji wanted to kill Chen Tianshou, and Chen Tianshou would definitely have a chance to run. The hermit, Dunansheng murmured, with some pity in his eyes. Lu Xuanjia hadn't exhibited any supernatural powers until Shu Su died. Dunansheng thought that he might have been a hermit who yearned for the ordinary. These people broke the life he yearned for. Xiao Shengsheng, what are you doing? Look, don't the clothes that senior sister just bought look good? Just when Dunansheng felt sorry for Lu Xuanji, a startled voice interrupted him. Didn't you watch them all today? Dunansheng said helplessly. You haven't seen this yet, turn it around quickly. Meng Hongyu urged. Dunansheng turned his head and almost fell off his chair. Senior sister, you are enough. Go back to your room. Du Nansheng covered his eyes and shouted miserably to the senior sister. Meng Hongyu didn't care, twisted her body, turned around, and asked Du Nansheng, "Does it look good?" Two warm currents flowed from Du Nansheng's nose. He knew it, he knew it. Assigned to a small team with the senior sister, after the completion of this subject, he will lose at least 10 years of life. What Meng Hongyu wore was nothing but a set of red lace underwear. Apart from that, there was nothing else. Little Shengsheng. Du Nansheng scrambled to get up from the chair, pushed Meng Hongyu out of his room, closed the door again, and locked it uneasy. Meng Hongyu squinted her eyes, and took out a key from her chest, trying to get rid of her Wujishin. There was no way. However, before inserting the key into the door, only a cold voice came from behind. "Enough. Don't overdo it either, things will be counterproductive." Meng Hongyu turned her head and saw a silver-haired, expressionless Captain Ren Qinshan walking over. Meng Hongyu shrugged and could only put away the key. They were originally a 5-person team. According to the rules of the Academia Sinica, they only need to complete a research topic together before they can graduate. Of course, this topic is not the old scientific topic, just a few papers and it's done. It has only been 3 years since the old and the new changed. The world is still adapting to the changes in the new day. There are still many unknown problems waiting for them to explore and explain. The Academia Sinica is the highest scientific research institution in Long Nation, and the students in the academy are often the pioneers of the new world. Every new subject is dangerous. Meng Hongyu has failed to graduate and left first level, so it is Du Nansheng and his senior sister. But this time, the subject is also not optimistic. 2 teammates sacrificed in the subject research, and she is afraid that she will stay first level again. This kind of thing is not uncommon in the Academia Sinica. On the contrary, most students cannot graduate at once, and they are lucky to have their lives. Meng Hongyu believes in the idea that there is wine in the present, but it is a pity that her little angel doesn't know anything about it. Gan Ming'er didn't know where he died, and he was still unhappy. In the room, Du Nansheng breathed a sigh of relief, and continued to check Lu Xuanji's information with his computer. He was originally afraid that Lu Xuanji would harm the society. Looking at it this way, he couldn't help but feel sorry for Lu Xuanji. Du Nansheng admired the hermits very much. They possessed great power, but they were unwilling to fight with other awakened ones and live the same life as ordinary people. Although it's a pity for this strength, this indifference is still worth admiring. Recalling what happened today, Du Nansheng felt a little pity for Lu Xuanjia. It was this society that forced an indifferent hermit into a cruel and ruthless person. Maybe he should have a chance to be redeemed. In the terrestrial world, Lu Xuanji didn't know that he had become a hermit who was indifferent to fame and fortune, but was forced to become a vicious poor man by the cruel society. What a hermit, kidding, if he had awakened his ability from the beginning, how could he be a programmer at Xinshan's second company? He must be dedicated to enhancing his strength and giving Susu a good life environment. What is indifferent, has nothing to do with him. It used to be, and it is now. As it dawned, Lu Xuanji took only Vermilion Bird to the Sky City. Passing by the street that hadn't awakened, Lu Xuanji took a faceless mask from a small grocery store that just opened. He didn't pay for it, and walked very happily. The program ape Lu Xuanjia has nothing to do with him anymore. He is now an arrogant boy who has the ability to create creatures, can create sacred beasts, pursues the highest strength, and wants to see the solar system. There is nothing to lose, which means that he will be fearless, free from any restraints, and die. Fang Shu. At 10 o'clock in the morning, in Ming Park, all the mission madmen invited by Lu Xuanji to the group came. Many of them are most wanted criminals on the list of the 3 major families, especially the little Spark, whose head is worth 1 billion. However, the thugs among these awakened people gathered in the middle of Ming Park uneasy at this moment, guarding the surroundings. Big Spark, I didn't expect you to look so ordinary. It seems that they said it was true that you were green 20 times, the young man with blue beach pants and a pair of sponge slippers laughed. Ha! Sparks raised his pocketed hand, and a pillar of fire suddenly sprayed toward the gentleman youth. The youth instantly turned into a black eagle and dodged, and rushed back towards the Spark. The chant, "You are not my opponent." The Spark stood calmly on the spot, and countless flames rose up and turned into a fire snake to attack the chant. There is more than one such battle in Ming Park. In fact, they had already met under the call of the station master before, and this was just to show Lu Xuanji. Normally, they all pick up tasks on the website, and they are basically solo travelers. It was already 10 o'clock, and the Beastmaster hadn't come yet, and they couldn't sit still. This Beastmaster is too mysterious and too powerful to make them die unclearly. It seems that you are very angry, but what is the ability to beat yourself? Leave it to deal with the ability of the Research Institute later, stop me. Lu Xuanji appeared from a high altitude with a pair of blue wings behind him, making him look like a bird man, and dropped a piece on the ground, shadow. Just kidding, Lu Xuanji was indeed a bit like a birdman, but no one dared to laugh. On the contrary, the shadow cast from the sky gave everyone a strong sense of oppression. Everyone couldn't help but obey Lu Xuanji's order and stopped fighting. Wing. This is the ability that is possessed by those with the ability of the transformation system, among which the birds and beasts are transformed into forms. But before that, this Beastmaster had demonstrated mysterious emotional control and predictive power. Everyone looked up at Lu Xuanji, watched him fall on the top of the street lamp in the park, and looked at everyone condescendingly. As expected, the Beastmaster did not intend to show his true body in front of them. The inferior faceless mask on his face looked a little funny. Everyone wanted to peek at the face behind the mask, but when they raised this idea, one of the capable people had been burned onto the body by a line of flames rising from the air in front of the Beast King. Chapter 31. Juyu, the 7th-ranked quest madman on the website quest list, is a Tier 5 mental ability person. Mind power is the 2nd level of the upper 3 levels. It is a very powerful ability and can often kill people invisible. However, just now, when Juyu tried to penetrate Lu Xuanji's mask with his thought power, and peeped at the scene behind that mask, he was burned on himself by a rapidly spreading flame along the thought power. How is this possible? Can mind power be ignited as well? Fire elemental ability. Beastmaster is elemental fire. No, it's impossible. How could it be possible to have so many abilities at the same time? There must be other people under the Beastmaster. There was an empty space around Juyu immediately, and other capable people whispered. Juyu screamed and screamed on the ground, but the flame did not burn him to death. It was consumed like this, burning him beyond recognition and burning him screaming again and again, but it made the other abilities around him even more terrified. Why can't this fire be extinguished? The flame of the Spark Boss hasn't reached this level, right? What about his mind power? Why not use it? You can use mind power to forcibly extinguish the flames. Juyu wanted to use his thought power, however, before Nanming left the fire, no matter what power your thought power was, even an intangible energy body could be ignited. As soon as his power of thought came out, it just made the fire bigger, and it burned him even more painful. Lu Xuanji looked down at the vermilion bird on his shoulder and gave it an admiring look. If I let myself fight against Juyu Nianli's prying eyes, I am afraid it would not be so cool. Lu Xuanji was only Tier 5, and none of the abilities he possessed could isolate the power of thought. He could only rely on more abilities to fight Juyu, and then kill him. In that case, it would not be able to achieve the current effect of deterring the heroes. After a while of discussion, the capable people watched Juyu be burned to death in this way, and the voice of the discussion weakened. Even if they were Lone Rangers, they could see through life and death, and had a cool temperament, so they wouldn't be sad for Juyu at all. However, when the deceased died, Lu Xuanji's pressure on the living remained lingering. Make everyone feel heavy. You are the Beast King? Spark and Bingley asked in a deep voice, looking up at Lu Xuanji. They are among the best in this group of mission madmen. Are you ready, squad? Lu Xuanji spread his hands and said solemnly. It's enough to divide into 2 teams. Every time the secret realm is born, people from the 3 major families have gone to the secret realm to get their treasures, and they may not be able to come back in time. Boss, the time you chose is just right, Sparking said to Lu Xuanji, seemingly pointed. The Beastmaster is so powerful, wouldn't it have known the exact time when the secret realm was opened? This energy bursting point has existed outside the new city for half a month. The time that Lu Xuanji chose was just after the secret realm was fully opened. Not a day earlier. Now the powerful awakeners of the 3 major families have already entered the secret realm. Even if they come back temporarily after receiving news, it will take a lot of time. If this is the case, the Beastmaster's prophecy ability is undoubtedly much stronger than the prophet of the three major families. However, cough cough, hit and hit, hit and hit. My Lu Xuanjia has a lot of abilities, but I just don't have the ability to predict. Okay, Spark, you lead the team to attack the Research Institute, Xiao Gongju leads the team to attack the masters of the three major families. After the control is in place, they will notify me. Lu Xuanjia said. Two blue-winged birds flew up from the sky, one fell by Sparks, and the other fell by Bingali Xiao Gongju. This is, Control Beast. Sparks' expression condensed, and his eyes flashed suddenly. Controlling the beast, he seemed to think of a recent news figure. But, that person, is there a Beastmaster so powerful? Spark is not sure. If it is, then the Chen family has really caused big trouble for Xinchen City. Webmaster, we have already started. Are you really going to blow up the Xinchen Research Institute? After the separate operations, Spark quietly contacted the webmaster. Have you seen the Beastmaster? Can you find out about him? Cheng Shanbai asked. Sparkle hesitated. Well, he is very strong, wearing a mask. Juyu wanted to take a look at him, and he was directly burned to death. Burned to death? Are you sure it was burned to death? Cheng Shanbai looked strange. If this is the case, this Beastmaster has at least 3 abilities. It's burned to death, but he still has the ability to control beasts. At that time, there was a little red bird standing on his shoulder. He was not sure whether it was his hand or the bird's hand. Sparks answered truthfully. Road. Cheng Shanbai founded the Awakened Dark Web to fight against the 3 major families. As a webmaster, among these scattered awakeners, he is still very prestigious. Controlling the beast. Wait, is there a beast controller in our Xinchen city recently? Cheng Shanbai also quickly thought of Lu Xuanji, and asked sparkling. Spark did not answer, indicating that it was acquiesced. I'm not sure if Lu Xuanji is so strong, maybe they are not the same person. The problem now is that we are really ready to blow up the Xinchen Research Institute. Sparks turned the subject away. Once the Research Institute exploded, according to the plan of the Beastmaster, he would take away the burning heart, and the entire Sky City would fall. At that time, not only the awakened people in Xinchen City will fall into the mortal dust, it is estimated that many people will be killed, which is absolutely a crazy move. Since the emergence of a suspended city like the Sky City, no Sky City has fallen. Although the dark web is opposite to the 3 major families, I have never thought of blowing up the Sky City to play so big, at best it is just replacing it. Will you listen to me? Cheng Shanbai smiled bitterly. He and Sparks are not in a subordinate relationship. Spark cut off the conversation. No, he felt it was more exciting to follow the Beastmaster. Why not be mad? What kind of fire is not mad? Lao Lu, is it in place? Huo Miao asked, looking at the technology foreign aide, who was fiddling with the computer. Lao Lu is an ordinary person, but before the new day, he was an academic expert. At the beginning of the establishment of the Xinchen Institute, he also participated in the design. But later, because of a disagreement with another engineer of the Awakened, Lao Lu was kicked out of the team and cut off his way to obtain the qualification of Sky City Life by virtue of his technology. As people with unseen underground abilities, Sparks cannot afford to buy the supernatural weapons produced by the 3 major families. In order to meet the needs of the mission, most of the Dark Web Awakeners have cooperated with Lao Lu. If Lu Xuanji came alone, he would definitely not be able to find foreign aid for technology like Lao Lu, but for Sparks, this was a routine operation. Okay, as long as I press this button, their peripheral scanning equipment will be blocked. We have 10 minutes to open the first password door, and then. A sloppy old man wearing reading glasses, squatting in a portable before the computer and peripherals enhance the equipment, I explained to Spark. Is it this button? Next to him, a boy who pushed his sunglasses onto his forehead poked the button of old Luigi and asked. The air was silent for an instant, and everyone looked at the young man with anger in a blank expression. Red Dragon, are you here to make trouble? After 3 seconds, the crowd came back to their senses and questioned the young man. I didn't mean it, really, the young man said to everyone with a sincere expression and a look of fear. Attack now, act as planned. Lao Lu, we will protect you to the password door. Lao Lu, Sparkling ordered decisively. However, looking back, Lao Lu didn't know where he went. He missed it, and missed that none of the madmen on the task list are fuel-efficient lamps, all for fear that the world will not be chaotic. The Red Dragon is absolutely deliberate. Old Lu is gone, a teammate next to him reminded, and Gatlin also followed with his own ability. Hey, Lao Lu, you don't want to die. Didn't you say that 1080 machine gun muzzles are hidden on the outer wall of the Institute, which are all auto-filled superpower technology weapons? Spark saw the swaggering stool and walking towards the research. The old Lu at the gate hurriedly chased up and asked. Yes, but it's blocked. If the signal is blocked, the machine can't see us, and it won't launch an attack signal, let alone 1080 machine gun muzzles. It's not good to use a nuclear bomb here. Lao Lu replied calmly. As he said, he threw a cigarette butt on the ground. I have been waiting for this day for a long time. None of you have such ambitions, but the Beast King has the ability. Confang Guan, at least people dare to think so. On this point, you won't be able to catch up. Lao Lu reprimanded with a look of disdain. He didn't care about the Tier 5 awakened master in front of him, and he himself was just a master. Ordinary people. Quote. Spark was speechless, suddenly a little suspicious of life. Has the world changed, or is he too lonely and ignorant? Is it so crazy that even a bad old man is so crazy? With the poke of the Red Dragon, Sparks, they could only, forced helplessly, and immediately launched an offensive. After all, the external signal of the Institute is blocked, and the people inside can discover the problem within 2 minutes, and there will be no next chance. Although the signal was blocked, the patrol team outside the Institute quickly discovered Sparks and others who were swaggering in the invasion. The harsh siren sounded, but a faint blue light flashed in the air, and a large ice ridge fell on the ground. 7 or 8 people in the patrol team were instantly frozen into popsicles. Sparks looked in the direction of the gloomy light on the left. Lan Xing, 4th on the mission list, a madman who had completed 27 missions in 1 month. You know, the Dark Web's missions are basically about the awakened, but it's not just going to kill someone casually, and completing 27 missions a month, almost 1 a day, he doesn't need to rest or prepare. At this point of dedication, Spark admits that he can't keep up with Lan Xing even if he shoots a horse. At this time, the mission madman carried a bazooka-like power weapon on his shoulders, and he spits out a smoke ring. Well, it may also be water vapor, because he is an ice elemental ability person. For the peripheral patrols, everyone took a direct attack and cleared the road leading to the first gate in less than a minute. Lao Lu dragged the special device in the hands of the Awakener who was helping him with the device, and connected it to the system of the code door to decode the code. The password door, which originally required fingerprints, voice prints, and pupil comparison, was opened in less than a minute. However, just after the door was opened, a round of fireball shot directly. This is the Research Institute's automatic defense mechanism. In the event that all high-tech equipment that was shielded in front fails, the gate will be automatically triggered when it opens. Fortunately, Lao Lu explained to Sparks in advance that a person with enchantment ability directly blocked all the fireballs. Black Tortoise, Xiaozi, Lengxiang, you follow me to the control room. This is the map inside the research room. You'd better clear out all those capable of rushing out. There are a total of 12 doors inside. Open 3 doors and we can enter the Institute's number 1 laboratory. There are their latest research results. I must go. As for the others, in addition to warehouses for unknown items, dangerous goods, and research results, 5 of them are on the way to the Burning Heart, and we must open them. I haven't been here for 2 years. I don't know what upgrades they have made. Give me at least half an hour to study. Lao Lu quickly said to Sparks and others. After they broke through the door, people with the ability to be responsible for the security of the research room rushed out. Presumably it won't take long before they will form a strong confrontation. As for those who rushed out first, sorry. When the Sparks and others saw 1 kill 1, they not only had the strength of Tier 5, but also prepared a large number of supernatural weapons. The battle in the research room was in full swing, but at this time, Lu Xuanji calmly watched from a distance and took out his mobile phone. Hey, Xincheng Daily, I have news broke. A group of thugs broke into the Xinchen Research Institute and are destroying it. The Sky City is very likely to fall under their attack. My bank account number is 605,227. After saying all this, Lu Xuanji hung up the phone directly. The staff of the daily newspaper who was in charge of the wiring looked dumbfounded, and then murmured, "Neurotic." After the call, Lu Xuanji snapped his fingers. Wow! Wow! A violent vibration of the same frequency suddenly resounded throughout the city of the sky, and countless capable people couldn't help covering their ears and looked at the sky in horror. I saw blackness in the sky, led by a few blue-winged birds. Hundreds of thousands of sparrows and squirrels, clutching underground rats, flew into the sky, and condensed into a black cloud over the Xinshan Research Institute. The sound of the wings vibrating at the same frequency makes ordinary people not only feel depressed and frightened, but even feel nauseous and vomiting. As for those with supernatural powers, it's not much better without plugging their ears. Squeak, squeak. The underground rat was thrown on the ground and rushed towards the Xinshan Research Institute under the leadership of several money rats. Crack, squeak. As the underground rat rushed to the outer building of the Xinshan Research Institute, the Research Institute, which looked like an iron fort, was directly bitten and battered. Lu Xuanji watched his animals attack the Xinshan Research Institute, and took out a wrinkled cigarette from his trouser pocket. I didn't have to rush to buy a new one. The inferior cigarettes packaged in soft paper can drop a few shredded cigarettes as soon as they are picked up. Lu Xuanjia didn't mind, lit one and took a deep breath. The city in the sky, a place that was once beyond my reach, is now going to be buried at my feet. Ability, huh? Once, I could only watch you show off your power, watch you enter and leave the High Door Club, watch you drunk in gold fans, and watch you trample ordinary people under your feet and wantonly bully. Now, that's all. One day, you will crawl under my feet like ordinary people who have crawled under your feet. You will repent for everything you have done. Institute, something went wrong. Those with abilities who heard the sound looked towards the direction of the institute and murmured. But very few people rushed to the institute. Most of the capable people living in the city of the sky are only at the second and third level. Some people attacked the research institute, and they ran over to look for death. Anyway, the three big families will solve it, and the three big families are the kings of Xinshan City, and they will solve it. What sound? Du Nansheng and the three who were about to go out also heard the sound of wings shaking that resounded throughout the city. When I looked up, I saw a dark cloud condensed over the Xinshan Research Institute. Bird. Ren Qinshan squinted his eyes to the sky here, muttered. How come so many birds gather there? They are all fierce beasts, which is too weird. Du Nansheng asked in confusion. After the new day, people call animals that gain abilities like the awakened beasts. The beast controller has a very rare ability. Ren Qinshan said lightly. Very rare, but not yet worthy of his envy. As the captain of the three-person team, Ren Qinshan is the strongest among the three such as Du Nansheng. He is an 8th order capable person, possessing 2 abilities, evolution and retrospect. They are all more rare abilities than control beasts, and there are no more than 100 people with evolution and retrospective abilities in the entire world. As for the one who owns both, he is the only one. An evolutionary, he can evolve ordinary creatures, thereby gaining a stronger physique, more tenacious vitality, and even a chance to awaken. Backtracker, he can go back to the evolutionary genes of living beings, bring back the phenomenon of living creatures' ancestors, and can also regress the strength of living things, exaggerate it a little bit, and even turn a person into a monkey. Of course, he hasn't tried it yet. Is it really feasible? Now he hasn't reached that level yet. Are we going to have a look? Du Nansheng couldn't help but think of Lu Xuanji when he heard the beast controller. The news said he was the beast controller. However, he has already worked with Lu Xuanjia. He not only has the ability to control beasts, but also has the ability to quick repair, physical enhancement, and similar emotional manipulation. This was Du Nansheng's own guess after recovering from the battle that day. Monkey boxing was not regarded as an ability by him, because from the current point of view, although the ability is strange, it does not include martial arts that allow you to directly learn some sword technique and fist technique. Small trouble, we still have business to do. Ren Qinshan shook his head and said. They came to Xinshan City just for their graduation project. They came up with a special creature from the secret realm, non-human and non-beast. The goal of the project is to study the genetic sequence of this organism, to figure out which type of energy the energy in its body belongs to, as well as the abilities and characteristics of this race. However, during transportation, the creature ran away, just near Xinshan City. In recent days, they have been tracking this creature. Du Nansheng sighed and could only go out of town with his teammates. According to their positioning equipment, A9 appeared in the newly opened secret realm outside Xinshan City. You seem to care about the beast controller. Meng Hongyu glanced at Du Nansheng and said. He is a hermit, it's a pity. Du Nansheng shook his head and sighed. Well, don't sigh. You frown, it's not cute anymore. Meng Hongyu pinched Du Nansheng's face. Du Nansheng frowned and stared at Meng Hongyu angrily. Sister, you are enough. You are cute, your whole family is cute. Which man would want to be cute? Xinshan Research Institute. Lu Xuanji finished smoking a cigarette and walked into the research institute. In the deep channel full of technological sense, Lu Xuanji was a little emotional. He didn't know that the world he was in was originally in this world, and the science and technology had developed to such a level. It's like science fiction movies, but unfortunately, ordinary people can't see these. Just as Lu Xuanji sighed, a fully equipped research institute armed team rushed out, all Tier 4 capable people, fully equipped. Energy dissipating armor, power enhancing weapons, one-time consumption weapons, etc. Such a fully equipped Tier 4 ability person can even last 5 minutes under the hands of a Tier 5 ability person. However, they may not have faced a sea of people, no, beast sea tactics. Just when they aimed their weapons at Lu Xuanjia, the two heart apes had successfully invaded, jumping out of the hearts of two of them, and killing them instantly. After landing, he immediately used the monkey golden body to become an adult size, and used the monkey fist to attack the rest of the team. A squad of 10 people was in chaos in an instant. Underground rats and rat sparrows followed closely. Amid the sour squeaks, their defensive equipment for resisting abilities, like soda crackers, was chewed and eaten by rat sparrows and underground rats. In the other passages extending in all directions to the Research Institute, Sparks and others are also engaged in fierce battles with the capable people of the Research Institute, but it is not as easy as Lu Xuanji. Hurry up and notify Mr. Wang, Mr. Qin, Mr. Zhou, there is a powerful enemy invasion, let them all come. In the small office next to Lab 1, the chief engineer Feng Shihei said urgently to his opponent. In less than 10 minutes, the enemy invaded the control room. He could only activate the emergency device and cut off the control function of the control room. The screen of the monitor was transferred to the screen of the temporary control room, and the fighting situation in the screen was not optimistic for the Research Institute. There has been no force in Xinshan City that can fight against the 3 major families. On weekdays, the Xinshan Research Institute sits back on Wuyu. They never considered that the Research Institute would be attacked. All this came too suddenly. However, even if this is the case, the opponent's actions are so fast, he is obviously very familiar with the internal system of the Institute. Feng Shihei flew with 10 fingers and activated all defensive equipment. However, the opponent seemed to be faster than him. In just 3 minutes, the second door of the Institute was opened. Lu Xuanji went deep all the way, and then found that he was blocked by a gate, a heavy metal gate. This is the 3rd gate of the Institute. Through this gate, you can go to the number 1 and number 2 laboratories. Lao Lu in the control room is also trying to open the 3rd door through the invasion of technology. However, pop, Lu Xuanji snapped his fingers. Give me a bite. Crack, creak. A sour voice echoed in the deep corridor behind Lu Xuanjia. The mechanism of the passage was triggered, and the mechanism on the gate was triggered. Blaze fire, cold air freezing, wind blade invasion. In front of the gate where Lu Xuanji was standing, a series of enemy defense mechanisms were triggered. However, they were all resisted by the Vermilion Bird on Lu Xuanjia's shoulders. Vermilion Bird has only 4 abilities, but to resist these attacks, it has at least hundreds of options. It's just the simplest at this time, Star Enchantment. Introduce the power of the stars in the south to build a defensive enchantment, which can block the full blow of the 8th level ability. Naturally, it is more than enough to resist these organs. These organs are no more than killing a Tier 6 ability person at most. Vermilion Bird, but the only southern town beast, competes with each other in higher order, which is commonplace for it. Within 10 seconds, the heavy alloy door in front of him was gnawed and collapsed by an underground rat. Lu Xuanji raised his hand and touched it. The door that had been gnawed away from the bottom and the edge of the door frame fell to the ground, dust everywhere. Lu Xuanji raised his foot and collapsed on the door, and walked to the front of laboratory number 1, as if strolling in his backyard. Together with a vermilion bird, at least in Xinshan City, he is fearless. At this time, in the control room, Black Tortoise noticed that Lao Lu, who was operating in front of the machine in the control room, suddenly stopped. He couldn't help but turn around and asked him, "Lao Lu, what's wrong? Hurry up, can't you? The other party has come to another team." "Okay, all right." Lao Lu called out the monitoring screen in front of the third door and murmured. Just now, the control room suddenly lost all signal perception of the third door. Old Lu Xuan, who was vying with Fang Shihei for control of the third door, forced him a bit, thinking it was the other party's advanced protection that cut it off. Signal from his side. Until he called up a monitoring screen in front of the third door, he only saw a figure wearing a faceless human mask, and a group of fierce beasts followed by him. He raised his hand and pushed, and the third door fell down. He has spent a lot of time, and his feelings are wasted. What kind of fierce beasts are these? They are only tier 1 and tier 2, and they can gnaw through the alloy gate. It's the Beastmaster. He is already ahead, let's follow. Lao Lu immediately gave up and continued to operate, and said to the Black Tortoise and others who were protecting him. The purpose of coming to the control room was to paralyze the prevention and control equipment in the research institute, and the other was to open several important passage doors. But now, the equipment that can be paralyzed is already paralyzed, and it's almost time to open the door. Now that the Beastmaster opens the way, there is no need to stay in the control room. What? He's walking ahead. Black Tortoise and the others couldn't help but look weird. They didn't watch the surveillance and didn't know how Lu Xuanji opened the door, but they knew that they would definitely not be able to do it, otherwise they would not invite Lao Lu to come. These alloy gates can resist the full attack of the 7th order ability person. Is it possible that the strength of the Beast King is still above the 7th order? Everyone could not help but take a breath. At this stage, the 7th tier abilities are basically the pillars of the top tier families in the Dragon Kingdom. Except for these top-level families who have several 7th tiers, only the Academia Sinica has more 7th tier abilities. Black Tortoise immediately notified Spark and the others, and chased Lu Xuanjia behind him. By this time, Lu Xuanji had already arrived at Laboratory 1. The number 1 laboratory is about 1,000 square meters and is full of various high-tech equipment. The rows of transparent jars on the left are filled with unknown solutions and bizarre experimental objects. A human body, like a baby in a mother's womb, curled up and floating in the solution in a transparent glass jar. A little girl with wings, a little boy with purple meridians all over her body, a bulging head, and a flame mark floating between her eyebrows. Ah! A scream came. Lu Xuanjia looked up, and saw a fire element-capable person trapped in a cage connected to a glass jar. His body was filled with various tubes, and the whole person it was tied to a cross-steel frame, and the tubes were connected to glass containers. This person with only tier 3 fire element ability, his whole body is constantly burning with flames, his abilities are being quickly overdrawn. Lu Xuanji looked at this laboratory that looked like the underworld in surprise. The researchers in the laboratory had already been withdrawn, and the surroundings were in a mess. A research report fell from the table, and Lu Xuanji raised his hand to take it. On the research report are several pictures from the experiment, accompanied by textual research data. On this piece of paper, an experimental subject numbered 0587 was recorded. After receiving the power infusion which lasted for half a month, the power was briefly activated, but there was a problem with the mental state, and it attacked people close to him indiscriminately. 10 days later, this experimental body exploded and died. This laboratory, which has been dubbed a halo and considered a pioneer of science and technology in the new era, is actually conducting human experiments. From their numbering of the test subjects, it can be seen that there are not many people who are regarded as test subjects. No wonder, in Xinshan City, there is always a legend that you will encounter ghosts and monsters when you wander around the street after midnight. Just as Lu Xuanji was strolling around the laboratory in surprise, there was a sound of footsteps behind him. In the direction of the door, there were 8 people and 8 tier 6 capable people. They are the guardians of the 3 major clans at the Research Institute, because the Research Institute is so important that they cannot even go to the new secret realm this time. They have to stay here at all times. Just one person. What is Fang Shihei up to? Just one person. Let him hit here. I said that all his high-tech, they are all furnishings. At the critical moment, we still have to look at our abilities. Several people looked at Lu Xuanjia, discussing with dissatisfaction on their faces. There are still us. At this moment, behind the 8 sixth order capable people, Sparks and others' voices also passed over. Ha, Spark. Wang Ji turned his head and saw Sparkle and the others. He couldn't help squinting his eyes. His expression was somewhat contemptuous. They have heard of Sparks and others. After all, they are also restless masters, who often make news. It's just that a mere tier 5 ability person has the courage to come to the Xinchen Research Institute, which is really commendable. Beastmaster, you didn't have to say earlier that the rat beast of your level is so powerful, even the alloy door can chew, we don't have to be so troublesome. Spark Yao Yao said to Lu Xuanjia in the laboratory. Up to this moment, seeing these underground rats, he had confirmed the identity of Lu Xuanjia. I said someone would help you. Lu Xuanji replied lightly. It seems that there are only a few tier 6 capable people, let's get started. Only tier 6 is the best result. Lu Xuanji even considered that there will be a tier 7 capable person hidden in the research institute, so last night, he was so eager to cooperate with more high-rank species. Come. When the words fell, Lu Xuanjia looked at a chair in the laboratory. 2 heart apes immediately pushed the chair and walked over. Lu Xuanjia sat on the chair and looked at everything in front of him indifferently. He himself was only a 5th order, Heart Ape was also 5th order, Sparks and they were also 5th order, adding him would not help much. He just needs to watch it quietly, it's enough. Looking at these tier 6 abilities, they were submerged by the sea of beasts. Arrogant. Seeing his movements, the 8 tier 6 capable people seemed to be humiliated, staring at Lu Xuanjia coldly. There has never been a person who, as their enemy, dares to be so unscrupulous in front of them. This simply looks down on them. Dead. One of the tier 6 capable people raised his hand to Lu Xuanjia, and a bullet-like ball rushed towards Lu Xuanjia. Tier 6, those with explosive ability. His whole person is like an ammunition depot, unlimited firepower, where to explode, and extremely destructive ability. Boom. With a muffled sound, the small ball exploded 1 meter in front of Lu Xuanjia, but the power of the explosion was blocked by a transparent barrier. This explosion did not even shake the star barrier. Lu Xuanji didn't even look at the man, but turned to Vermilion Bird on his shoulder and stretched out his hand. Vermilion Bird jumped on his finger, not much bigger than a sparrow. Who could have imagined that such a ugly bird would be the Vermilion Bird, one of the 4 sacred beasts? Lu Xuanjia took out the breakfast bread he brought, and it was a bit flattened. Lu Xuanjia pushed on the mask, took a bite, and grabbed another piece for Vermilion Bird. Who knows, this little guy turned his head. I don't want to eat this, I want to eat meat, eat meat. Lu Xuanjia's eyes twitched. Dage, give a face. Who is you? Dage, I am a little fairy. Vermilion Bird rolled his eyes and replied in a crisp, baby sound female voice. Little fairies eat air. Lu Xuanji bit the bread and said. ... There was silence in the laboratory, as if several ellipses floated above everyone's heads. This guy is a person who does not put the ability of the institute at all to put in one's eyes. Look at what I'm doing, didn't you just start? Lu Xuanjia said to the awakened as he slowly ate the bread. If you don't do it, I'm not welcome. Seeing everyone looking at him, Lu Xuanji continued. Flapping, flapping, a dull voice rang, and everyone frowned, trying to find the direction of the sound. Behind them, the passages extending in all directions seemed to have this kind of sound coming from every passage. What? A tier 6 capable person just asked, only to see a dark figure rushing forward, and a piece of flesh and blood was torn off his face. Bang! The capable person almost reflexively grabbed the thing that attacked him and squeezed it into blood foam. The rat sparrow, an enhanced version of the underground rat, can fly. Its biting ability is stronger than that of the underground rat. It looks more like a mouse than a bat, and is an upgraded species with feathered wings. Even so, it is nothing more than a 2nd-order species, and in front of a 6th-order ability person, it is just an existence that can be pinched to death at will. But so what? Squeeze one to death, there are more. There are tens of thousands of rat sparrows. If it is in the wild, so many rat beasts are gathered in one area, it is enough to turn this area into a dangerous place that people of Tier 6 ability do not dare to easily step into. With the appearance of the first rat sparrow, more animals rushed in. There are waves of black torrents on the ground. It is the big bird that sometimes collides with the underground rat, the squirrel and the sparrow. It is the blue-winged bird. The red one, like a flame, is the flamingo team. The 12 heart apes, taking advantage of this time, the capable people of the Research Institute were shocked by the sudden appearance of the animals, using emotional control to impact their hearts. Finally, a heart ape succeeded by luck, and the heart ape who was standing next to Lu Xuanji suddenly turned into a ray of flame and disappeared, and settled in the heart of one of the 6th order capable people. What? Dead. Die. Die to me. Among the 8 Tier 6 capable persons who originally stood together, one of them suddenly became mad, and his body changed at an extremely fast speed. The knotted muscles, the flowing cyan hair, and the head that gradually became a long tapered shape, and finally turned into a wolf's head. The wolf-beast illusion ability in the transformation system. Wow! The Tier 6 capable person who transformed into a werewolf roared, and attacked the people around him indiscriminately, kicking off the prelude to the war. His heart is controlled by fear and anger. Now he has no reason to speak of, completely reduced to a beast, just wanting to destroy everything in front of him. Qin Lang. The other Tier 6 capable persons were shocked and shouted at the werewolf capable persons. Unfortunately, the only response to them was the sharp claws of the werewolf. The other 7 Tier 6 abilities cast a glance at each other, and the tacit understanding of daily training is now present. Zhou Zhenin, a person with enchantment ability, he can create an indestructible enchantment. A transparent barrier blocked the endless stream of animals outside the passage. Among the remaining 6 people, 3 of them dealt with sparks and others, and the 3 joined forces to rush towards Lu Xuanjia. At this time, they still don't understand that Lu Xuanjia is the strongest of these invaders. However, Lu Xuanjia had no plans to make a move. He just glanced at it, and the remaining 11 heart apes greeted him. Because these 3 are all Tier 6, if it weren't for the loss of mind, the heart ape would be very difficult to invade, and they could only use the monkey gold body and monkey fist to fight the enemy. Although heart ape is Tier 5, it is also rare. With its numerical advantage, it was inextricably beaten with 3 Tier 6 abilities. Vermilion Bird looked at the scene contemptuously, and said to Lu Xuanji, "If I shoot, I can squirt them to death in one bite." No. Lu Xuanji raised his hand and nodded Vermilion Bird's head, and said lightly, "Where is someone who blows up as soon as they make a move? What if they have a whole card? Let's watch it first." There were a dozen people on Sparkle's side, fighting against 4.5 Tier 6 abilities. The situation was not optimistic compared to Heart Ape's side, and they were crushed and beaten by others. Qin Lang is half. Zhou Zhenin, as an enchantment ability, actually does not have a strong offensive ability. Lu Xuanji licked his fingers after eating the bread, and looked at the severely oppressed Spark and others. Beasts are worse than. Chuck, Chuck. With a familiar voice, Zhou Zhenin, who was fighting with Sparkle and others, suddenly looked shocked. Enchantment. My enchantment was gnawed by these 2nd order fierce beasts. Zhou Zhenin had an incredible look. He was a 6th order, and these rat beasts were only a 2nd order. Although Zhou Zhenin is only a person with enchantment ability and has insufficient attack power, in the joint battle, he played a role in dividing the battlefield and trapping the enemy, minimizing the advantage of the number of sparks and creating favorable conditions for his teammates. Now he was in a mess. The originally suppressed Spark and others pulled back a bit, and the sound of the rat beast's teeth biting over there caused the creeps of several Tier 6 abilities who had originally disdained for Spark and others. If these fierce beasts rush into the battle again, they will be completely submerged by the sea of beasts, and they might really be planted in the hands of these 5th tier abilities. Wang Ji, Zhou Zhenin, Sun Xie, one of the Tier 6 capable people yelled, and the others were shocked. They immediately understood what he meant, and one after another they took out a watch-like supernatural technology weapon. This is a special ability extender that can amplify their abilities. Among the 8 of them, more than 3 of them use it at the same time, which will produce energy entanglement and manifest energy body alien beasts. Such scenes have been simulated in the computer countless times before. They have created such a few specially customized capacity extenders, and used them at the same time. Several people have not tried it once. A huge amount of energy erupted from the field, a strong wind blew up, and the glass container in the laboratory burst instantly. Sparkle and others were shocked. The energy intensity at this time had reached the level of 7th, and they could easily be crushed to death. The difference is exactly 2 levels. The suppression of numbers is meaningless, unless they are like Lu Xuanjia's fierce beasts. There are tens of thousands of numbers. In the center of the burst of energy, several light and shadows entangled, and a Qilin phantom was formed in the light and shadow. Ha! Lu Xuanji poked the little vermilion bird. This spark they couldn't deal with. Hey! With a sharp and high-pitched cry, a sacred bird composed of flames by Bufin Shenwu appeared in the sky of the laboratory. Its wings flapped and swooped down. Qilin Phantom collapsed in an instant, a few sparks burst out, and the ability expanders in the hands of several Tier 6 abilities instantly melted. Ah! Wang Ji screamed, rolling on the ground all over his body on fire. The conditions of the others are similar to his. Sparkle and the others watched this scene blankly, and swallowed involuntarily. This is the strength of the Beastmaster. What kind of fierce beast is that ugly little red bird? Amid the screams, there was a sound of footsteps eagerly away, and Lu Xuanji stared at it. Fang Shihei, the chief engineer of the institute. Lu Xuanji once saw him on TV and was very confident. No, it should be said that he was a very proud person. But at this time, he was always glamorous on TV, but he was embarrassed and hurried away. Lost, lost. Even the 6th order ability is defeated. He doesn't want to stay to die. Lu Xuanjia retracted his gaze, and a murmur sounded, and the fierce beast in the passage instantly drowned Fang Shihei. Is there no whole cards? It's really disappointing. Lu Xuanjia got up, walked up to Wang Ji and the others, looking at them indifferently. Your task is completed, and I will call you the reward within 3 days. After that, Lu Xuanji looked at Sparkle and the others and said, the things in the research institute are worth at least tens of billions. No, no more, Spark stammered. Lu Xuanjia ignored him and instead scraped the research results in the institute. Lu Xuanji patronized the safes and warehouses one by one, reagents, reports, supernatural weapons, etc. Lu Xuanji found a suitcase and towed away. By the time he left Lab 1, Wang Ji and others had already turned into black dust. Are you still going? Seeing Sparkle and others standing here in a daze, Lu Xuanji glanced around and asked. That, research data, it's useless if you take it anyway. Lao Lu looked at the box in Lu Xuanjia's hand and said tentatively. Just now Lu Xuanji was scraping in the laboratory. They naturally did not dare to move, but Lao Lu came for these research results. The research funding of the Xinchen Research Institute in the past 3 years is no less than 30 billion. These research results are the most advanced, including biological abilities and super weapons. Want? Lu Xuanjia paused when seeing Lao Lu's expression, and asked with a slight smile on the face hidden under the mask. For him, even if these research results are taken away, they are indeed sold in a hurry. Because he doesn't have the ability to continue research, and he doesn't have such resources and talents under his hands. Unsurprisingly, after the fall of the Sky City, he will be wanted by the entire Dragon Kingdom. According to his cognition, this kind of ability that can harm the entire city is enough to get the official attention of the Dragon Kingdom, and many terrorist ability that once harmed the city have disappeared mysteriously. Lao Lu nodded like garlic. His eyes kept looking at the research materials in Lu Xuanjia's hand. It's okay for you, buy you for 20 years. Lu Xuanji replied. Lao Lu frowned. What do you mean? Literally, these research results, as well as the research results of several other laboratories in the Xinchen Research Institute, are at your disposal, but you have to work for me for 20 years. In the past 2 decades, any of your research results and the value created by your research results belong to me, and I have the right to designate you to conduct in-depth research on a certain aspect of technology or a certain project. Beastmaster, I'm 60 years old. Lao Lu reminded with a wide eye. Are there still 2 decades of good living? Besides, he conducts research only because of his own interests. If he is so old, he still needs to work for others. This kind of research is not happy for him. I heard that Azure Dragon Group in Shanghai City claims to have extracted the essence that can delay human aging from evergreen wood. It is still in the experimental stage. In theory, a drop of evergreen essence can extend life for 2 months. Lu Xuanjia recalled before, said the commercial I've seen on TV for 2 months. Lao Lu frowned. The existence of Azure Dragon Group is not something ordinary people can touch. He also knows the research results released by Azure Dragon Group, but it is difficult to distinguish between true and false. Moreover, even if safe products are manufactured for that kind of thing, the first wave of crab eaters must be the top people in society, who have nothing to do with him. The dream of mankind's longevity has been for thousands of years. I don't know whether this evergreen essence is true or not. Even if it is true, I am afraid that it will not be popular in 200 years. Old Lu shook his head. Let alone 200 years, he even suspects that the upper class will always hold this thing firmly in their own hands. Even if the output can be raised, they will not mention it. Even if it can be popularized, they will not be popularized. It doesn't need to be popularized. 99% of the good things in the world are only in the hands of the 1%, and why don't we do the 1%, 0.1%, and 0.01% of the people? Lu Xuanji asked back. Old Lu stared at Lu Xuanjia blankly. Who has never had this kind of wishful thinking, but it can only be in a dream forever, who dares to think about it when he is awake? Who is qualified to think? Even after a century or a millennium, the 1% of the world's people have only changed less than 0.01% of that 1%, right? Some things are not born, and they will be gone in this life. Even the Beastmaster is still too far away from the 1% gap. But I don't know why, when old Lu fixedly looked at the inferior mask in front of him, and at the deep and dark pupils behind the mask, he believed it. He is willing to trust this person who is at the same level as him to some extent. Believe him, he can accomplish the feat that only 1,000 years in history can be done by a Tianzhou. If age is no longer a problem, and if he is 10 or 20 years younger, Lao Lu believes that he is extremely willing to explore the pinnacle of science, even if it is now supernatural technology. It's not because of money, just for the feeling that the miracles that only God can create can be realized in one's own hands. 200 years ago, people still didn't believe that people could fly in the sky. 100 years ago, people didn't believe that they could transmit sound from thousands of miles, and these were all done by science and technology. Well said, there are probably not many people in the world who can think of like you. Old man, I followed you. Old Lu said boldly. Lu Xuanji handed the suitcase in his hand to Lao Lu, and the transaction was concluded. Beastmaster. Lu Xuanji looked at the nervous Sparks and others. There were only a dozen of them, but now there are only 6. Those with the 6th order ability are still better than the 5th order. I want to follow you too. Yes, let us follow you too. These years, we have not had an organization. It seems that the 3 major families have wooed us, but it always feels like something. Now I know why. Beastmaster, Black Tortoise would be happy to follow you, a promising future. Everyone said one word to you. I'm not happy. Lu Xuanji glanced at them and waved his hand. I only accept you because I have a pit in my brain, it's better to be laborious. As for Xin Yuan, Lu Xuanjia can make 3 in one day. Not to mention what higher rank species will be registered in the future. No. You don't need to pay wages. Sparks and others stammered after hearing such an answer. I respect your uninhibited love for freedom. Lu Xuanji patted Spark on the shoulder. No, don't watch us idle, it's just that you can't get used to the behavior of the 3 big families, and they are not convinced with each other. Now we will convince you. Spark explained. Lu Xuanji sighed. Do I have to be so blunt? I really don't want you to follow me, so let's not say that I don't give you a chance. If any of you can beat it, I will accept you. Lu Xuanjia pointed to Vermilion Bird on his shoulder. Quote. Everyone was silent for a while. Okay. The rejection was straightforward enough. Vermilion Bird cast a contemptuous look, and calmly combed his own feathers. Lao Lu, let's go. Lu Xuanji walked towards the passage. Howley, here you are. Lao Lu smiled complacently at Sparkle and several people, and turned to chase Lu Xuanji. What happened to ordinary people? Make you look down on ordinary people, saying that technology is the primary productive force, right? Still labor and capital have value. Beastmaster. Sparkling clenched his fists and said solemnly, with a somewhat complicated tone. Long Gangsing, the strongest beast controller in the Long Kingdom today, has a strength of Tier 9 and can control thousands of Tier 5 fierce beasts, thousands of Tier 7 fierce beasts, and 3 Tier 9 fierce beasts who follow him at any time. Of course, fierce beasts often haunt once deep mountains and forests, such as the Kinling Mountains, Daxinganling Mountains, Dabi Mountains, Shenongjia, and so on. These places, because of the abnormal changes after the new day, are so dangerous that no one dares to go. The scene where thousands of Tier 7 fierce beasts appear together is impossible in the city. Therefore, usually there are only 3 Tier 9 fierce beasts around Longanexing. Even so, among the 9th level ability, Longanexing is also a big brother level existence, and is one of the people with the 9th order ability that is least willing to offend. Offend him? Well, get ready to be besieged by 3 Tier 9 fierce beasts. The same beast controller, Sparks, after today's incident, firmly believes in his heart that if Lu Xuanjia can reach the 9th rank, he will definitely be stronger than Longanexing and have a higher status. If he is lucky enough to be around such a person, he can also reach a height that he could not have reached. However, just when he was thankful that he had such luck, he met Lu Xuanji. Lu Xuanjia's refusal undoubtedly caused him to fall from the clouds to the bottom. He couldn't understand why Lu Xuanjia didn't want him. As long as he awakened for 1.5 years, his talent of reaching Tier 5 was not bad, and his fire element ability was not bad either. Sparks and others couldn't help but start to doubt life. At this time, Lu Xuanjia had already wiped out several other laboratories with Lao Lu. The third laboratory, next to the warehouse. A huge roar came from the warehouse. Like howling ghosts and wolves, there were obviously living creatures in this warehouse. This creepy voice made Lao Lu, an ordinary person, a little scared. Should we open it? It's just a small warehouse attached to the third laboratory. There shouldn't be any good stuff. Bang! With a muffled sound, the warehouse door fell. What are you talking about? Lu Xuanji asked Lao Lu. Forget it, when I didn't, ah! Lao Lu screamed. A dark figure had already rushed in front of him. A monster with red eyes and a lean body with a tail behind his ass tried to open his mouth to bite him. Go! Just where the monster's claws were less than 3 inches in front of Lao Lu's body, a few flames flew out, as gorgeous and beautiful as Phoenix's tail feathers, entangled the monster's body like a ribbon. Roar! The monster struggled, trying to reach Lao Lu with its claws, but could only advance a few millimeters. These people are really worthy of death, and the experiment in vain of human relations should be unacceptable. If it weren't for this place, they would have been chopped to death by the sky. Vermilion Bird said with disgust in his tone, and said angrily. From the research materials left by the research, it can be seen that they are conducting an experiment to activate ordinary people's abilities. This is a good thing. If one day all ordinary people can awaken their abilities, the social class will not be as open overnight as it was 3 years ago, right? Of course, this may not be the intention of the 3 major families. They are probably just used to enhance the strength of the own family. For this goal, countless ordinary people, low-level awakened people, died after torture in the experiment, or lived like this without humans or ghosts. But Lu Xuanjia was not half moved. There was no anger, no pity. He is numb to the world. At this time, what he really noticed was what Vermilion Bird said, there is no sky here. Vermilion Bird, what do you mean? There is no heaven, what do you mean? Lu Xuanji asked. As the creator, don't you notice it? Vermilion Bird asked rhetorically. Although it knew that Lu Xuanji used the power of the system to create things, strictly speaking, they were created by the system. But it still calls Lu Xuanjia the creator, because the system cannot create creatures by itself when it acts as a single good fortune bead. There is no restriction of Taoism here. Everything can develop freely. There is no upper limit. There will be no so-called heaven-defying things. Vermilion Bird explained. It was born with the memory of the sacred beasts of Vermilion Bird, but memory and character are 2 different things. The newly born little Vermilion Bird, who has not experienced everything personally, is still a little girl's character. Lu Xuanjia nodded thoughtfully, and wanted to ask more information, but was interrupted by the sudden falling ceiling and construction debris. It's those squirrels and underground rats. Lu Xuanjia's mouth twitched, and they had almost gnawed the entire research institute. Lu Xuanjia put down a money rat to spread the letter, let the foodies who killed 1,000 knives silence, and walked quickly to the place where the burning heart was placed. Vermilion Bird dragged the little monster released from the warehouse and flew over with Lu Xuanjia. What should I do with this thing? Kill it. It's so ugly. It stained my flames. Lu Xuanji was speechless. Can flames be dirty? Nanming Lihuo can purify the dirt in the world, but you didn't let me kill him, and it was disgusting when you looked at it. It just stained my flames. Vermilion Bird Tsunere complained. It's a life anyway, take it first, then, let him fend for himself. Lu Xuanji said indifferently. This monster is Experiment 0. It was not the first to experiment, but the only survivor in the experiment. In addition to losing his mind, he gained powerful abilities. What bad idea are you thinking about? Why do I feel that the wind is blowing and it's cool? Vermilion Bird paused and asked. You are a vermilion bird, and you are still afraid of the wind, and the wind helps the fire. Lu Xuanjia joked while instructing the underground rat to open the door. Yin whined. Vermilion Bird rolled his eyes and rolled his eyes. I'm a good person, so how can I have bad ideas? I think the Chen family invested so much in this research, and the research institute is gone. It's so sad, at least let them see the research results. Lu Xuanji stepped on the collapsed alloy door, walked to the next one, and answered calmly. Lao Lu followed at the end. He wondered if this kid from the family had any misunderstandings about good people. In the days to come, I am afraid it will not be peaceful. The heart of burning flame is placed in a recessed secret room, surrounded by a corridor, and the spar like a small sun floating in the recess is the heart of burning flame. The heart of burning flame is different from other ordinary spar, it has attributes, and other ordinary fine broken spar has no attributes. The other biggest difference is the shape. Other spars are mined and can be of any shape according to the wishes of the processor. The burning heart is said to have an irregular flame shape when it is discovered. Ha! With an excited and high-pitched cry, Vermilion Bird couldn't help but wanted to fly out, but was pulled back by Lu Xuanji. System, how much energy can the burning heart convert into? 1 million, not much energy value, but it allows you to awaken the fire element control ability. The system replied. What if it is for Vermilion Bird? Lu Mian kept asking without changing his color. The system muffled and laughed. At least you can immediately advance Vermilion Bird to tier 8, and the remaining power is enough for Vermilion Bird to advance in the next 3 months. The 3 months I'm talking about refers to the situation where Vermilion Bird does not cultivate itself and no longer swallows other strange fires. Lu Xuanjia let go of Vermilion Bird. It's cheaper for you. With a mere 1 million energy value, a batch of ordinary spars is still more cost-effective for Vermilion Bird. As for the ability to control the awakening fire element, the system is challenging his IQ. I directly extract the ability of Vermilion Bird, isn't it good? Awakening is under the control of the fire element, and it is too much to support. The only drawback is, the ability of Vermilion Bird is a bit expensive, so expensive. The current Lu Xuanji couldn't even afford one. Vermilion Bird's small body flew to the burning heart with excitement, and a few flame ribbons dragged behind him, making it look like a reduced version of Phoenix. And the Vermilion Bird may disdain that he unintentionally resembles Phoenix's form. The only Vermilion Bird in the world is more than the Phoenix. The burning heart is more than 20 times larger than the entire Vermilion Bird. However, as soon as the Vermilion Bird flew past, the burning heart was originally wrapped in red light and began to explode with vigorous flames. Boom! There was a loud noise in the air, and even Lu Xuanji couldn't help but retreated a few steps. I saw Vermilion Bird bathed in the flame, and the power of the burning heart was absorbed by it at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than 5 seconds, burning heart gradually dimmed. The entire sky city suddenly moved, and dust and shattered building materials continued to fall from the ceiling in the research institute. Lu Xuanjia turned around and pulled up Lao Lu, opened the way with an underground rat, and ran all the way to the outside of the research institute. Some places in the front were already blocked by large pieces of construction waste, but it didn't matter, the underground rats gathered around directly gnawed out a passage. Beastmaster, do we care about your fierce beast? Lao Lu asked while being dragged by Lu Xuanji to run away. I didn't see it, your heart is so soft. It's an 8th rank, and you're an ordinary person, what do you think? Lu Xuanji asked rhetorically. Vermilion Bird is not comparable to ordinary fierce beasts, even if it is now tier 7, its abilities can be compared with those of tier 8 ability, and even tier 9 can beat it. Not to mention the absorption of burning heart, it is a genuine 8th rank. Quote. Lao Lu shut up. Okay, he was worried. However, Lu Xuanji's answer also answered the question he had been curious about for a long time. That little red bird turned out to be an 8th order. It's no wonder that 8 tier 6 abilities were killed so easily. Running out of the research institute, you can already see that the entire Sky City is rapidly falling towards the bottom of the city. Lu Xuanjia fluttered his wings for 10 miles, displayed his double wings, and flew into the air, throwing Lao Lu to a surviving blue-winged bird. The dark clouds condensed again above the falling Sky City, but it seemed to be much smaller than before. They got it. At the other end of the city, Bingali Xiaogongju and others looked at the fast, ascending, flowing clouds and looked in the direction of the institute. At this time, the capable people of the 3 major families who were fighting with them couldn't help but asked in shock and crazy, "What's the situation? What did you do? What the hell did you do? The city in the sky is falling." The screams spread to the city on the ground, and the civilians who found the city in the sky fell quickly drove away. Fortunately, the Sky City is only 1/5 the area of a ground city. Because the burning heart was not taken away instantly, but gradually absorbed by Vermilion Bird, most people had enough time to escape. The reporter of Xinchen Daily looked at the sky in shock, staring blankly at this scene. 20 minutes ago, someone called and told him that the Xinchen Research Institute was attacked by illegal intruders and that the Sky City might be in danger of falling. He didn't take it seriously. How could it be possible? That is the city of the sky. That is the homeland of the awakened, and those who can settle in the Sky City, at least the awakened of Tier 3 and above and their families, or have made a great contribution to Xinchen City, the conditions can be relaxed. How could anyone dare to attack a place like a tiger den and wolf den? But reality told him that his inertial thinking was wrong, so wrong. He missed the first-hand press materials. But now it's too late to remedy it. Xiao Wang, hurry up, bring your equipment and rush to the scene. Lu Xuanji flew back, looking at the Sky City of this prosperous and distant city, sinking to the ground. Susu, it's a pity that you are not here and you can't see this exciting scene. The guys who used to regard themselves ascension as human masters have fallen again, and in the face of more powerful forces, they are no different from ordinary people. I can only scream, run, and yell in horror, and struggle to no avail. But, even if you let the whole city be buried for you, I can't feel a trace of happiness. Why is that? Beastmaster, this guy seems to be very dissatisfied with me, won't you throw me down? Beastmaster, our research materials. Lao Lu, who was lying tightly on the back of Qingyiniao, yelled. He had never sat on such a thrilling, flying chicken. Lu Xuanjia looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle, and he found that sometimes, this action was not for pretending, nor was it because of secondary two, but because it was really necessary. Lao Lu yelled and couldn't help but drag him back to the world. Shut up, coward, with me, you can't die. Lu Xuanjia glanced at him. The research materials that had just fallen were carried up by another blue-winged bird. Wow, you don't know how to respect the old and love the young at all. Lao Lu spoke in the wind, his entire face changed, and he couldn't hear what he was saying. Lu Xuanjia glanced at the other side and was prepared to use the energy booster made by Lao Lu to transform elemental wings, or the sparks and others flying in the air by various other methods, and then turned towards the falling sky. The city chased. The dust was everywhere, and the myth of the Sky City, a full 1/5 the size of Xinchen City, was shattered and fell to the ground, and the entire Sky City was torn apart. A high-pitched cry suddenly erupted from the research institute that had been turned into ruins. Sparks flew away, and a strange bird flew out with its long tail feathers. There are people who have seen this scene from afar, and none of them thought that the legendary bird Phoenix was born. Crack. Xiao Wang of Xinchen News Agency also quickly pressed the shutter to capture this scene. However, the fact is that this long tail feather is just the flame used by Vermilion Bird to restrain the Research Institute No. 0 experiment body. Vermilion Bird flew up into the air and flicked it. Subject 0 was thrown into the Chen family's territory. Let's go. Lu Xuanjia glanced at Vermilion Bird, and pulled Lao Lu to leave the scene quickly. The surviving animals blasted away and Vermilion Bird chased Lu Xuanjia. The fall of the Sky City suddenly caused a huge sensation in the entire Dragon Kingdom. Because of the rapid spread of news, all kinds of small videos, all kinds of news pictures, fly all over the sky. Various gossips are also emerging in endlessly. First-hand news. A boss of Chen's company harassed female subordinates. Unexpectedly, that female subordinate's boyfriend was a very powerful hermit. He killed more than a dozen high-rank abilities in Chen's family and directly harassed the Sky City of Xinshan City. Flipped. Second-hand news. The young master of the Chen family greened the company's subordinates, and the two destroyed the Sky City. Third-hand news. Young Master Chen and the boyfriend of the female subordinate of the company are unclear. 18-hand news. The Chen family's father and son were in vain to care about the human relationship, raising the beast for excitement, but the beast got out of control and blew up the city in the sky. At the same time, the news of the fall of the Sky City in Xinshan City made the headlines of current affairs news, political news, military news, and 8 trigrams news. A simple revenge story, under the hands of the news writer, has become a story of 100,000 words, emotional entanglement, tossing and turning, and an unthinkable story. Jiaofu Compound, Shanghai City. Mythical beasts are born, don't dispute. The beast controller who can control the sacred beasts may have the opportunity to break through the Ninth Order Tianmo, Cheng Zan, you will meet him. Such people must be brought to our camp. Gongzhou Mansion, Li Garden. Interestingly, in the 3 years of New Japan, such genius has been rare in the past 2 years. Manure, the legendary phoenix bird, has always caught your eye. It's a pity to be controlled by people, not necessarily a god bird. Hee, Manure, don't be confused with Dad, you have to take this trip whether it's for a bird or a person. It doesn't matter whether you fight or not, you just can't let others get away. Chang'an, Qin Palace. The beast belongs to my dragon's spine. Godswill, Cullinan, Tianlin, Tianchi, you 4 go together, even if you snatch it, you will get it back. Academia Sinica, Sihai Tianxin Pavilion. Professor Tong, what do you think? In the conference room, Professor Juji gathered together and was also alarmed by the incident. Sit and watch, Tong Lai said lightly, flipping through the data on the tablet. Teacher, do you think this Lu Xuanji looks like a person? Behind him, an 18 or 9-year-old boy asked. As soon as this statement was made, everyone looked down at the tablet computer in their hands, with different expressions, and the collective silence was long. Look at this sacred bird, there are still some differences from the phoenix in the literature. Regardless of whether it is a sacred bird or not, Lu Xuanji is just a beast controller. There is no ranking ability and great potential. Let people contact him to see if he has the idea of coming to our school for further study. Tongji zoomed in on the tablet in his hand. The vermilion bird pattern, as if not hearing the words of the disciple, said to others. Well, it's also a good seedling. It should be considered the most appropriate way to deal with it now. The others also nodded in agreement. Professor Tong, he destroyed the city in the sky, causing losses of no less than 100 billion, and countless deaths and injuries. I am afraid that the gang of donkeys will not let him go. One of the professors pushed his glasses and said. A Tier 9 capable person is worth more than 100 billion. 2 months later, at the second Global Summit of Capable Persons, the more Tier 9 capable persons, the better, they know how to choose. Tong Lai said indifferently. But, this Lu Xuanjia doesn't seem to have a 9th rank. The beast controller who owns the Phoenix Beast, is Tier 9 still far away. Tong Lai threw the tablet on the table. Quote. Didn't you just say that it doesn't look like Phoenix? Someone forced him in a low voice. There is an old saying that the prince breaks the law and commits the same crime with the common people. There are so many people with rank 9 ability in the world, and there is no one who kills people like him. Are you sure you want to protect him? At this time, a 24-5 young man was at the table. The man patted the table and asked. On his shoulders stood a large black eagle, a golden snake between his neck, and a male lion at his feet. Long Gangsing, the 9th Order Beast Controller, should be the most powerful beast controller known in the world today. I remember that at the beginning of the new day, Professor Long wanted to be called a warlord and died under your hands at the beginning of the new day. There are many civilians. Tong Lai narrowed his eyes and said. The two looked at each other, tit for tat. At this moment, the light in the room dimmed and then brightened again. Everyone was startled. and at the same time they looked in the direction of the door, and got up one after another. Deputy Dean. Everyone bowed their heads to say hello. Wu Baicheng, one of the 3 deputy deans of the Academia Sinica, he became the dean based on pure strength, while the other 2 deans were more or less supported by the forces behind them. Before awakening, Wu Baicheng was a Taoist priest, but what he awakened was the ability of yin and yang. This ability ranks second in the global ability list. The first is the creation ability. The reason for overwhelming Wu Baicheng is that the person with the creation ability is still a little different from Wu Baicheng in terms of strength. The sun is yang, the moon is yin, the day is yang, and the night is yin. This is Wu Baicheng's understanding of his abilities yin and yang. Since he entered the 9th rank, he has stepped on the sun and the moon, often accompanied by day and night. Where he appears, the light often changes due to the changes in the day and night around him. In addition, Wu Baicheng is now the only 7 9th and A-half ranks in the world. Even if the 9th tier abilities such as Tonglai and Long Gangsing are in front of him, it can be said that it is extremely pressured. Stop fighting. What the dean meant, first hand him a golden edict and let him report when the next term starts. As for the half-month period, it's up to him. Whether he can report and see his good fortune. Wu Baicheng sat down in the main seat, took a sip of tea, and said without hesitation. The so-called Jinjiao is the special admission notice issued by the Academia Sinica. You can enter with Jinjiao without taking the pre-entry examination. As a special case, the 3 grades are optional according to their abilities. All right, the professors glanced at each other and nodded. At the same time, the General Command of the Central People's Army, which is the official army reorganized after the New Day, has the largest number, the highest quality, and the best discipline. The fall of the Sky City was the first time this happened since the New Day. The headquarters also attracted attention immediately after the incident. Several generals at the general level held a small meeting on the matter. The Ministry of Urban Security just sent a report asking us to send people to help catch the thugs. What do you think? Cao Fenggan asked several colleagues at the meeting. Send someone to apprehend, it should be, said another young man lying in a chair who looked like a fool. A majestic military uniform was worn on him, but it was full of scorn. When the other participants heard his words, they all looked at him. Bai Feng shrugged and continued, this move is no different from terrorists. The normal operation is to send someone to apprehend as soon as possible. However, the second global summit is just around the corner. I heard that the number of 9th-level talents in the Star Country has exceeded 70. Although we have Wu Lao and Fan Laojun, the other party also has 9th and A-half strong people. At this time, every person with top abilities is precious. He has a beast in his hand, and his potential is higher than that of the dragon of the Academia Sinica. Compared with the national security, the souls of Xinshan City should be aggrieved. Bai Feng continued. He knew that everyone present thought so, but no one dared to say it so bluntly. They are scrupulous about the eyes of others and public opinion. They must have extremely positive images. How could it be possible to squander the lives of hundreds or thousands of people for the sake of one person? But the truth is so cruel. After the New Day, everyone's weight will be different. Some people are as heavy as Mount Tai, and some are lighter than a feather. It only depends on his ability and how much he can contribute to this country and the world. 3 years in the New Day, and to this day, war is not as far away as people once thought. All people, all forces, and all countries are fighting to seize opportunities and compete for resources. It's just that wars often occur in places that ordinary people can't see, and are only wars of capable people. Fortunately, the Dragon Kingdom has always been strong, with a vast land and abundant resources, and talented people have come out in large numbers. Otherwise, it has disappeared from the world unknowingly in the past 3 years, just like those small countries. Let Xiao Yin go. Before going, go to the Academia Sinica. Cao Fenggan ordered amidst the accusations of everyone against Bai Feng after he pondered for a moment. Among this group of generals, he is the highest rank as the assistant general of the Chinese military. The army listened to the order, and after the order, there was nothing to continue discussing. The people who had been so close to poking Bai Feng's spine to accuse them stopped the accusations almost at the same time as if nothing happened. After the meeting ended, only Bai Feng and Cao Fenggan remained in the meeting room. Cao Fenggan smiled at Bai Feng and said, "You dare to say this? Others have said it. Once it spreads out, no one will end up with a military job. The privilege in exchange for human life is something to be proud of. Someone has to bring it up. Bai Feng got up, kicked the chair back, and turned to go out. Cao Fenggan wanted to say something but stopped, but in the end he could only give up. The two of them grew up together since they were young, thanks to their ancestors, and 3 years ago, they were both young and old in these 49 cities. The new and the old are replaced, the universe is reversed, and there are a few people in the world who can hide and roll in this general trend. 3 years ago, at the beginning of the new day, thousands of cities were chaotic, warlords were everywhere, and countless people who relied on their own awakening of powerful abilities, thought that this was the end of science fiction, and wanted to dominate one side and reach the top. The government urgently suppressed and forcibly maintained order. The Bai family is one family. Anyone who is awakened, regardless of strength, will be on the battlefield. A few months later, order was reluctantly restored in various places. The main line of the Bai family did not exist. Nowadays, except for the two brothers and sisters Bai Feng and Bai Ran, and the 90-year-old Mr. Bai, there is no one in the house. Before that, as the top family of the Dragon Kingdom, the Bai family had no fewer than 50 or 60 descendants and great-great-grandchildren under the knees of the old man. In the battle of peace and chaos, there were many participants, such as the tragic Bai family, but there was no one. The real doomsday has not come, and perhaps it is time to remember the Bai family. Xinchen City, the home of Lao Lu. This is a small farmyard in the suburbs, but when you walk into the basement of the main house of the yard, it is a strange cave. Awesome, you moved the entire laboratory home. Lu Xuanji looked at the instruments in the basement that were similar to those in the Xinchen Research Institute and exclaimed. Hey, my old man has done research work for half a lifetime, so I just saved a little bit. Old Lu smiled. While talking, Lao Lu put the materials brought back from the Research Institute into his own data cabinet. Unfortunately, I'm just an ordinary person. After the new day, it will be difficult for me to get those real power technology research equipment. The little sparks and the others are just a little trouble. They can't help me get the most cutting-edge equipment. Lao Lu complained as he cleaned up. Lu Xuanji did not answer the conversation, but looked around the laboratory. This laboratory is not large, and the equipment is relatively complete. There are a lot of supernatural weapons piled in the corner on the side, all of which are common on the market, but the appearance is more crude. After all, those on the market are all produced by big families in various cities that have invested and built factories to produce them. Lao Lu here is all handmade. Awakening potions, elemental swords, and space pockets, these items are all relatively high in completion. You should study these items first. After Lu Xuanji visited, he listed the research items from Lao Lu Luo and grabbed the research project from the Research Institute. Choose a few of them, and said to Lao Luo. It's not that simple. I will use animal experiments for the awakening medicine first, but the equipment here doesn't work. Lao Lu shook his head. He has been making superpower weapons, and equipment are also in this regard. This elemental sword and space pocket can be made as soon as possible. Similar products are already available in several first-tier cities. I still have too few equipment here, and I'm alone. I'm afraid the progress will be very slow. Don't you know other scientists? Lu Xuanjia frowned slightly and asked Lao Lu. However, he also knew that it was really difficult for Lao Lu to do large-scale research on his own. Hey, I'm awakened. People don't know me. People who are not awakened are all running for life. How can there be time to contact? Old Lu smiled bitterly. Then you first contact those who are not awakened, and see if you can bring a few to do things for us. Are there any projects that can be realized immediately? Lu Xuanji asked Lao Lu, looking at the pile of research materials. It depends on how you realize it. These things can be taken to other research institutes or group companies at random, ranging from a few hundred million to tens of billions, Lao Lu replied. However, while saying this, he held those materials tightly for fear that Lu Xuanji would really sell it. You find a few low-value items, and sell a few for a little bit of money. I still hope to open a factory for late stage, so that I won't be able to sit and eat the sky. Lu Xuanji thought slightly. Why are you selling this? Recently, a secret realm was launched in Xinchen City. With your strength, go in and get some things out. Isn't it easier to sell than this pile of broken materials? Lao Lu held research tightly. Data, rolled his eyes and said, I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.